Happy New Year to all from the Sunday Science team.
Ooh.
Indeed. Let us see. No, we don't have any projects since it's New Year's Eve. Many people are already celebrating and preparing for celebrating. No projects or anything that's going to require any work or anything of that sort. Basically, have a nice set of videos from NASA and what they've done in the past year and what they hope to do in the upcoming year, and we'll be going through those. So welcome everyone. Glad you joined us again, and let us see what's what here, and let's see. Let me direct your attention to Hill, who has joined us, and he's gonna carry the rest of the show. Okay, Happy New Year all. See ya.
I did not agree to this.
Well, no. If I told you that, would you have showed up?
Hey, who's been swindled now?
Well, we knew it had to happen eventually.
Eventually.
Anyway, let us, why don't we just start off with, oh, here's something interesting. This would be, the top 17 Earth from Space images of 2017. Why don't we just take a quick look at that, and we'll talk about stuff and things after. Let's see what we got here.
Stuff and things. I thought that was Thanksgiving.
Oh, you're right. Damn it. I always get those confused.
Subscribe for more space.
Righty. Artemis, welcome.
What is happening?
Hello again. And an early Happy New Year's to you, sir.
Speaking of early, it's not even close to midnight.
I know. Well, this is usually the time when we start up, which the folks in the public chat will tell you is usually about a half hour late. So
Well, it's midnight somewhere.
Yeah, it's just about always is. Anyway, yeah, that images of Earth from space. A funny thing I noticed about that, and we won't get into it because it's the wrong show, but did I not notice some apparent curvature in some of those images? It certainly appeared to be the case.
It's just curvilinear. It's just curvilinear perspective.
Yes, it's all. It's probably attributable to buoyancy and density or something of their perspective, or flurf, that kind of thing. Anyway, so yeah, there have been quite a few. Yeah, Curvison.
Oh God, it's been a while.
That's how I wish Deb wasn't working. Every time we mention Curvison, he gets that maniacal laughter. Curvison. Anyway, yeah, well, on Sunday Science, we've had some adventures this year, which all went fairly well. Nobody was, badly injured by any of the experiments done. Andy, of course.
Speaking of which, has your Tesla coil exploded yet?
It's funny you'd ask that. The coil itself is in fine shape. Big part of it is you need a capacitor in the input, which is basically a radio tank circuit. Need a capacitor of a sufficient value to make a resonant circuit with the primary coil, so that it oscillates and thereby conveys an alternating magnetic field to the secondary, and then you get cool sparks and all that. Anyway, the commercially available capacitors were A, pricey, B, huge, and C, for the most part, I'll just say it, crap. So that was when I embarked on building my own, which we saw in previous shows. It was basically layer of glass, layer of aluminum, layer of glass, layer of aluminum, that way. And I had them with about 4 sets of plates. And that was actually working great for quite a while. What you have to be careful with capacitors that are moving any kind of current, which the input for a Tesla coil is a rather high current animal, they tend to warm up, and much like anything you pass a lot of current through. And if one was not extremely cautious in constructing one's capacitor, and say, hypothetically, left some air in between the plates and the glass, that air tends to heat up, expand. And I'm not saying that there were shards of glass all over the basement, but all right, there were shards of glass all over the basement.
Oh man, it was totally believable right up until then.
Yeah.
Now I can't trust you.
Anyway, so just for say, I'm making a new nut, because the glass ones do look awfully impressive when the thing's in operation, because you get a corona around the plates and the whole thing being made of glass. It actually does look nice, a little blue glow around
until it explodes.
Well, yes, there's that. There is that. That is a little bit on the downside, but so I'm
minor setback.
Yeah, I am producing a new one, and I've got some I was able to find some nice thin epoxy that before it hardens, it's almost as thin as water, which I assumed it was all that gummy stuff that I didn't think such a thing existed. But a visit to Home Depot. That was not product placement, by the way. They're not sponsoring us. And I have said epoxy, and I should be able to lay it on thick enough and clamp it all together so we have a nice air-free environment for the aluminum plates to live in, and no further explosions. So that's in the works. That's going to take a few days to finish. But in the meantime, to keep things rolling, I just hastily made a substitute capacitor with I don't know if I'm sure you've seen those roll-up cutting boards that are made out of some rather high-density plastic. They're also excellent insulators. So just for temporary purposes, I constructed a capacitor with plate on either side and a few extra layers to prevent arc through and that kind of thing. And this I'm pretty sure won't explode because it's actually a ventilated capacitor. So the excess heat should not be a problem. It's and to test it, I had made a I'll just tell you, I did a Jacob's Ladder thingy. Let's see if I have it here somewhere. Ah, here it is. Here's the little fella. See that little red and blue thing in the background? That's the capacitor. 2 plates, air cooled, doesn't heat up at all, and it's now just running this thing. It's carrying about, I don't know, 3 to 4 times the amount of current that it would have running the Tesla coil. So it should be fine. That's that's basically that. Anyway, yeah. So that's no. To answer your original question that you asked, what, about 10 minutes ago? No, the coil itself did not explode. All good there.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yes. And actually, if it had, that would be the part that would have been annoying, because winding over, well, the first one was over 2,000 turns on a 1.5-inch core. That takes a little time, and when something like that goes south, as much fun as you had winding it, it's still a little frustrating. But
actually, something I've been trying to figure out as well is this is something I did ever since last year, but it never really came to fruition. Was I actually have most of the materials to make my own small vacuum chamber.
Oh,
is that the container I have is just plastic, so I'm very concerned about it, imploding. And and ever since last year, I tried to figure out how to get that to not happen, but it just kind of went to the back of my mind. I still have the materials in the other room, and maybe this coming year I'll test it and see if it actually does implode, and then afterwards see if I can try to rectify that.
After the recovery period, yeah.
Yes. After filming it from a very large distance.
I think any creationist will tell you that ribs can do wonders. If you ribbed
to the corner and think about what you've done.
If you ribbed your plastic container, it would be less likely to completely crush itself. I had an actual engineering point to be made there.
I did understand, but nice job working in the whole rib thing. Yeah, that's I had thought about thinking of it, because there's a bunch of uses for such a thing, and the best I could come up with for something to actually produce the vacuum was a couple of those vacuum pumps they use to evacuate refrigeration and air conditioning systems in series.
Actually, I got one of those. I got a dedicated vacuum pump just for that purpose. I just kind of need to cut a hole in the side of the container, because it's just a normal plastic basically like a storage container.
Ooh.
It's with a bunch of an airtight seal for the roof with a bunch of different clamps to keep it on. And so my plan was basically just cut a hole in the side of the container, attach a tube to the pump, and then just seal the hole back up, and then turn on the pump. But I'm concerned that something is going to not hold its structural integrity, and the whole thing's just going to kind of come crashing down in a lovely implosion of science.
Yes, indeed. Vacuum is another something you might want to be careful with. All right, and you did mention, however, you would be observing from afar. So
yes,
I'm
afar, very afar.
I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, safety first. Unless you're doing something really cool, you should always think safety first.
Yeah, and then I probably want to find out some way to secure it structurally from the inside with some kind of rebarring of some kind.
Indeed. You wouldn't think it would be that big a deal to have, just, thinking about it. I mean, how big a deal could it be? One atmosphere pressure geez, shouldn't be that much. Sad that it never works out that way in practice.
No, only 14.7 pounds per square inch.
Really? Doesn't sound like a lot, does it?
No, it does not.
And yet...
Yeah, and my fear is also that even if I get it to not completely implode just from the atmospheric pressure itself, but then trying to do anything inside of the container would obviously be kind of dangerous because I'd need to be kind of close to it, and then applying any more pressure to any one point could a cascade failure, and I kind of don't want that exploding in my face, literally. So, vacuum chamber idea kind of went on the back burner.
Understandable. Oh, look, Fino has joined us. He's in Germany. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. Very nice.
Well, in a little bit.
Hey, Sean has joined us. Nice.
You're not Fino.
No, I am not Fino.
He is not. Welcome, Sean. Happy
Hello.
New Year to you.
It's another day.
Yeah, that it is. And you don't think we're being unreasonable expecting 2018 to be less of an absolute disaster than 2017? Are we being overly optimistic?
There's only two things I'm curious about. Who is going to make the last Flat Earth video of the year, and who's going to make the first one of the year?
That's what I'm wondering too.
Indeed. All right.
Were there any? Does anybody know of any experiments that were planned for tonight that would somehow help prove the flat Earth?
Has there ever been an experiment actually conducted that helped prove the flat Earth?
Well, as far as I know, every experiment, because I've heard them all misrepresented in one way or another, and
Right,
oddly enough, they all come up with the same conclusion. But
gravity ain't real.
As frustrating as it is.
So I guess they never dropped the mic.
And yeah.
Nope. Heaven knows where it would go.
Well, they do. It just kind of floats around, though.
Might just jump up and bite you.
Yeah. Well, that was actually one of the first test ideas I had for the vacuum chamber was dropping objects at different weights and densities and such.
Well, it's actually simpler than that. Hello. First, since you were talking about your vacuum chamber, you talk about how it's going to explode in your face. Implode is the proper word.
I said implode.
I said it's going to explode.
I said implode in my face once, and that is a figure of speech. I will have you know, sir.
He does have you there. Blow up kind of just implodes.
Yeah, but
yeah, blow up is
the best experiment in a vacuum chamber is actually getting a siphon to work. And it's not easy to do because you have to have a liquid that's not going to boil away because of low pressure. And there are a few, but the siphon will still work with gravity alone.
So what you're saying is get a bunch of mercury.
Yeah, I was thinking mercury would be the thing.
No. Mercury will boil away in a vacuum.
Oh, will it?
Really?
Yes. Well, it sublimates. It goes straight from liquid to gas. It doesn't actually boil.
Yeah.
I had, for some reason, I had never really looked into it.
Because technically mercury's changing over directly to a gas from a liquid at room temperature all the time. It doesn't actually boil. It just evaporates.
Look at that, Sean bringing science to us on a science show. Unbelievable.
I'm sure you can get it to flash boil, if you can get it to vaporize fast enough, but it doesn't actually boil.
I have made it dance beautifully on a hot plate in a high school lab.
That's probably more likely Leidenfrost.
It was yeah, it was the third thing that got me sent to the principal's office in the last 10 days of school.
Vaporizing mercury into the atmosphere, that'll get you sent to the principal.
Yeah, somehow that went. Somehow they got
it.
The first one was that I momentarily electrified the entire water supply to the school, and there was a girl in the hallway getting a drink of water at that exact moment.
Oh, dude!
So I ended up down in the dean's office for that, and then I was in band, and a buddy of mine and I decided that we weren't going to perform for one of the presentations or whatever that last week of school, but we left class early anyway, and we got caught doing that. So I got nabbed for that. Finally, the last time the dean said, Mr. Brain Sample, I've never seen you in my office in the almost 4 years that you've been attending this school, and this is the third time I've seen you in less than 2 weeks. Will this be the last time I see you?
There's still another day of school left, maybe.
He ended up being the head of security for the school system. He had a trophy case full of bongs in his office.
Oh, jeez.
That's well, high school was interesting. The one important safety tip: never sit near the kid that seems to have packed a bunch of dry ice around his Erlenmeyer flask. It did, and for those of you that don't know, that's the classic telltale sign that someone decided they want to make nitroglycerin. So don't sit by the kid that's got the dry ice around it. It just seems to never turn out well. Anyway,
I'd say nitroglycerin usually doesn't turn out well.
No, it can.
It can be flashy at times.
Yeah, I guess.
If you happen to have a bunch of sawdust laying around, you can help that. But
all right, okay. We should put a disclaimer: safety first. All right, nobody make nitroglycerin, okay?
No, please do not
definitely
make
not.
nitroglycerin.
Or don't try to boil mercury.
Right, yeah.
Actually,
there you go.
I buy my nitroglycerin in tiny little pills. So
Well, you probably shouldn't boil nitroglycerin either.
Oh no.
Well,
let's make it even jumpier.
Sean.
Let's make it even jumpier as the temperature comes up, shall we?
you also don't want to dump nitroglycerin dust into your wet palm. That's a bad idea.
Ooh. Okay. Look at all the look at all the safety
So much
tips
good
we're giving out
advice.
today.
Unless you're currently having a heart attack, dumping powdered nitroglycerin onto your wet palm, not a good idea.
you just don't high five anybody.
Yeah. I carry around a little vial that's got nitroglycerin tabs in it, and as a precaution. And I was going to a concert, and I didn't even realize it had happened, but moisture had gotten into the little container, and the pills had all exploded. So it was just dust in this container, and a cop saw it on my keychain when I had my keys out of my pocket. He's like, "What's that?" And he just takes it out of my hand, unscrews it, and dumps it onto his hand. I was like, "You're gonna want to get that off." And I watched his eyes dilate as he's wiping it on his uniform.
Oh my.
I was like, "You're probably gonna want to sit down." He's like, "What the hell was that?" He was all pissed off. I'm like, "It's nitroglycerin, man. It's for my heart." Oh, shit. Shit.
What? That's a problem.
But now you're getting a hot flash and tingles, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on.
Great. So you inadvertently assaulted a police officer. For
I don't know. That was so.
With nitroglycerin.
With okay.
He took it from my hand and dumped it on his palm. I had nothing to do with it.
Understandable. Yeah, these things happen.
I bet he doesn't do cocaine searches the same way ever again.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm wondering how many times he did a cocaine search that way and didn't wipe his hand when he was done.
Well, I'm sure he was like having a runny nose for a little bit after that.
Yeah.
Standard cop practice.
Just stand there tweaking through your hand.
Alrighty, well,
all the kids are doing it these days.
Oh my god! Don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Well, another safety tip.
Not even nitroglycerin on your sweaty palm.
Careful, it's
important safety tip. Thanks, Egon.
It's very easy to start a fad. Be very careful.
That's a big Twinkie.
Yeah. All right.
So it's almost New Year in Germany.
God, I'm old.
It's indeed. All right, and let's see what other coolness has occurred. Well, we've Andy's done a hell of a lot this year with spectroscopy, and that's where we're still waiting to see the final outcome of that. I know there's continual improvement going on, and a lot of fire. That's always a good thing, and entertaining. And what time is it in Germany? Oh, it's Isn't it just about midnight? Fino, it's just about midnight, right? All right. Anyway.
I get to rub this into your face, Si.
Oh,
Drone footage.
Oh wait, let me present you. Here.
I am presenting.
I mean, let me get you on the screen. The hell? Why are you not on the screen?
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
It should be showing me.
Hold on.
Because this is different than a hangout. You don't get to select who's presenting. Everybody can present over everybody else.
Oh, I can. Oh, yes, I can see you. It's just no one else can. There we go.
I can.
OBS was still stuck on the last hangout screen there.
You see, and this is the best part. I got telemetry data in my flight. Yay!
Most impressive. I should mention that,
Yay,
that at one point I had a drone, but one of my neighbors, it was their birthday, so I just gave it to them.
Yeah, you suck.
Wow. I've got a friend who just brought his kids back to the continental U.S. from Hawaii, who hadn't been able to see him for 3 years after his girlfriend took off with their kids. And so now he's got these kids from Hawaii living in Utah, and they don't have any winter clothes. So if you want to throw something at somebody, he's looking for gift cards.
Well, while we're here, let me see. Not that one. We'll do that one. There is my place of work for people who don't believe me.
Aha.
I don't believe you.
I actually got permission from the store manager to take this footage because we just had a whole bunch of construction get done, and he wanted me to take drone footage showing that the construction was over, so we can get business back.
Aha.
So this video is actually sitting on our store's webpage.
Well, that's impressive. So the you've had the thing for quite a while. What's your review of the Mavic Pro?
The technology is absolutely mind-blowing. Let me go back to my previous video, because at the end, you'll actually see me approaching myself as it's landing. And this is as close as it will get to me once it comes up to here, because the safety features will not allow it to fly towards an obstacle.
Really?
And it stops by itself right there.
Oh, that's cool.
It will not let me go closer than that.
I am impressed by what levels of technology are becoming available to the regular consumer market. Anybody can get.
It's cool that it tracks the flight like that, which I recognize isn't that huge of a technological step, but it's still a cool feature.
Well,
it is nice.
The problem with the DJI drones, all of them have this problem. It doesn't record on-screen telemetry from the screen that you can actually see. It still records the flight logs on the phone or the tablet, whatever device you're using. Most of the time. Sometimes for the last week or two, it hasn't been doing it, but most of the time it will actually record the entire flight from the time that you turn it on to the time you turn it off. And you can take that data and convert it to a CSV file, and then use that CSV file to go into another program to render the video with whatever kind of custom gauges you want to put on there. So all the telemetry is recorded. It's just not recorded on the video. So this was actually a 3-step process to get the altitude gauge, the speed gauge, and the actual flight map.
What does it measure the speed in?
Miles. Well, I got it set for miles per hour. So this is called precision mode. It can only go up to 20 miles an hour. But here in a second, I'll kick it over to sports mode, and it'll go up to 40.
All I can see is that nice flat horizon.
Okay, let's see if I can find your house from here.
I wonder where all the...
I'll pull a wedding photographer into the side of your head.
Where does all the color go in winter? So just get absorbed back into the planet?
No, it's washed out because we have complete cloud cover in this video. So everything is filtered through cloud cover.
My point was
this
way
video was actually shot in heaven.
Yeah.
So this is showing your actual flight path in the upper right-hand corner there. Is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That's cool as shit.
I like it.
Yeah.
And I left the actual map data out of it because, doxing.
Indeed.
It would be even cooler, though, if the flight path was in 3D.
Well, it kind of is. If the map was there, it would actually look like it's got the gold line with a shadow underneath it.
Yeah. That's cool.
And you're
But
Is this
since
the
I
same
didn't
drone
have
that that Wolfie's offering for that challenge?
Yes, it is. And that
Yoink.
sports when I got to 39 miles an hour buzzing my daughter there.
Your poor dog.
What a good parent.
Well, he was still like 10 feet above her head.
Yeah,
Honey duck.
My dad made the comment today to my brother that dogs aren't for picking on. That's where kids are for. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like my fucking childhood.
Let's see here. This was a post-sunset flight.
Wait, leave that there. Let me get my level.
Ooh, Flat Horizon and chemtrails.
The
What can this thing not
the
do?
Chem snow videos have been killing me this winter.
Oh, was this sunrise? Yeah, this was a sunrise video, but this was I was actually planning on doing a lowering the thing, but I actually lost the visual on my phone, so I couldn't see that the sun was actually rising, so I didn't know what to do, so I just kept it there. I was gonna get a multiple sunrise video because I'm at 400 feet right now.
It looks like that chemtrail is being lit from underneath. Can you confirm or deny that?
That is definitely lit from underneath.
Have you figured out how to strap a P900 to it yet?
No, but how much does P900 weigh?
too much.
I don't know.
Because
They're big.
I've seen several weight tests on how much the Mavic can lift, and it's about 2.5 pounds.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I'm going to go weigh mine.
It's going to dramatically shorten flight time. If you have to lift something of that sort.
Not really. Because once it gets, once the RPMs get up, it doesn't have to increase it to maintain altitude that much.
Oh, right, but
It's
the current draw for would have to increase to drive that. But
well, it would just think it actually takes more power to hover than it does to climb. And with the extra weight, it's going to think it's constantly climbing, so it's going to be using climbing voltage rather than hovering voltage.
See, interesting.
Yeah, the biggest power draw on the Mavic is actually during hovering.
Oh, actually, since we're talking about the drone, Sean, tell everybody about your sun went away. Sun's back. Sun went away. Sun's back.
Oh, well, I can just do this. Let me find it.
Oh. Okay, Sean.
I still have the video.
Okay, everybody, Sean made a cool video to annoy our flat Earth friends.
The triple sunset. And I was wanting to do more, but the battery was getting kind of low, so I just wanted to do 2 elevation changes. I go down to 60 feet. I'm at about 65 right here. I actually drop a little bit down. But then I wait for the sun to go away, and then I go up to 90 feet. Sun comes back. Sun goes away. I go straight to 400 feet, and you can see about the top 1/3 of the sun. Yeah, so I just went up 30 feet there. And the sun miraculously comes back up over the horizon. But perspective. Yeah, that's it. Perspective.
That's what it is.
Vanishing points.
Curvilinear height-based perspective.
Yeah, the magical vanishing point that nobody can give an actual distance to because it has to constantly change based on latitude and altitude.
Oh, look.
Oh, the P900 from the scale I have is just about 2 pounds, by the way.
Oh, okay. Up it goes.
So, did someone say duct tape to the Mavic Pro?
How much does it weigh?
Just about 2 pounds.
Yeah, it could lift it.
So about half a Henway.
You have to be from down south to understand that joke.
We understand
You don't have
that
to.
up here as well.
I'm from Fort Wayne.
All right, well let's finish the joke. What's a Henway?
About 4 pounds.
About 4
Okay.
pounds.
There, now everybody knows the joke. Oh, and in case any of you successfully scrubbed the images in question from your mind, Factard was kind enough to bring it back into sharp focus by commenting daytime, nighttime.
This was before we had all our snow. And these are the rich houses of the area. These are 6-figure houses, and it just drives me nuts that I live like right behind them.
Sean, would you say this footage is sexy?
It is sexy, daytime or nighttime.
Noted.
Well, duly noted. All right.
I should make a flight just around that video. Have Antonio dancing to it.
Oh yeah, that's what you that's what you need.
So where is this that there are 6-figure houses built right on the river like that?
In my city.
Do you have exceptionally good flood management in your city?
Since there's actually like 3 dams upriver, yeah.
Okay,
Damn.
that perfectly answers my question, because I happen to live in a city with 3 rivers in it, and there are no nice properties near the river.
And we got 3 dams, 2 estuary offlows. Yeah, our river's pretty well maintained.
Yeah, I'd say you got good flood management.
Oh, here's the
It's pretty damn good.
oh my.
Damn.
Here is
What was
the
this?
link to the. I don't know if anybody wants the link to the public chat so you can see what people are asking. Here it is.
This was the first day that we had our snow before Christmas. This was the day before Christmas.
'Twas the day before Christmas.
It was the day before Christmas, and earlier that morning there was nothing on the ground.
So you don't live too far from me.
What state do you live in?
So it's flat. You got snow on Christmas.
Oh, Hill, you've got
This
a
is heaven.
P900? Hill, you
So-
said you've got a P900 there?
Northern Illinois, northeastern Iowa, southern. No, it can't be Minnesota. The river's not big enough. Northern Ohio.
Actually, no, I think I got the date wrong on this one. What day was this? This was... Oh, this was the 15th. I was looking at the wrong video.
Is that the Maumee River?
Oh, good Lord, no. That's Ohio.
Well, I know. I was asking. Well, it's not just Ohio, because it's also about 2 to not even 4 blocks from here.
Hey, Hill, we
Yeah,
got a
that's
question. You said you got a P900, right?
I do indeed.
Okay. A while back, Cypher here in the public chat had asked a question I did not have the answer to. It was regarding testing the rolling shutter on the P900. Cypher, what if you want to type your whole question out in the public chat? Maybe Hill has an answer for you. And
I probably don't, but let's try.
all right, and if he does just make something up, he's good about telling you that he's making it up. So
Uh-huh.
he said,
Brutally honest.
yes, he'll tell you this is all just made up, and then answer it.
Yeah, Sean, I want to make a nice Christmas rhyme about your footage, but I can't think of anything that rhymes with flat. At least that'd be
God.
pertinent to this video.
Oh, spat. Crap.
And
Shit from a bat.
strangely appropriate that.
Twas the day before Christmas, and all through the shit from a bat. There was snow on the ground, and the horizon was flat.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds a little wordy, but I think you can make it work.
Okay, Hill, here's the question. I don't know if you'll have an answer. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. Cypher wants to know just how bad the rolling shutter is. Pan fast from left to right while recording, and the bottom of the image will be cut, basically.
I must say I've never tried that because most, if not all, of my stuff I've done with the 900 so far has been in photographing mostly still objects, such as the moon. I've done that a lot.
Is that a water stream
Or,
right across the street?
Clouds,
Yeah.
So a lot of sky-based things, and so you don't get a lot of. I haven't seen any rolling shutter yet.
Are you going to try and do a few ISS transits across either the sun?
Oh, I'm working on it.
I knew it. That's a great thing. I like
Well,
Red's videos.
Problem is I can't do
really
any
cool.
solar transit because
What's
I
really
don't
cool
have a
about
solar
this-
filter for my P900 yet.
What's really cool about this part of the flight, though, is there is no snow hitting the ground. I didn't even know it was there, that it's actually in the air.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I will not send this thing up in the snow because the way that the intake fan works, it actually blows directly across the circuit board.
Oh,
I draw
And
ice
there's-
across
there's
the
a-
board.
There's a slight risk of having that snow come into the intake, melting, and then landing on the board and shorting something out.
Especially if the snow is so small you can't see it.
Well, no, I mean there was no snow hitting the ground. I was
Right.
not aware at all that there was snow in the air until I took it down and looked at the footage. Like, oh shit, it was snowing up there.
You guys are as good a bunch as any to ask this question. It was 2 degrees this morning when I got to my parents' house and the sun came up, and the
Celsius or Fahrenheit or Kelvin?
Well, I said degrees, so it's not Kelvin.
Foiled again.
Fahrenheit, and it's the frost in the air from it being so cold and dry that the humidity in the air freezes. That is called what? The word ends in, the word ends in frost, but I can't think of what the word is.
Jack?
Yeah. Okay, well, I won't go to you guys for my meteorological questions.
I was going to go with hanging in the air frost.
It's like grist frost or something like that.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you.
I got nothing.
It's one of those Middle German words.
Maybe it's holy shit, it's too goddamn cold
Yeah,
frost.
seriously fucking cold frost.
It's I'm going back inside frost is what that would be.
Yes.
Over here.
It's so cold my balls hurt, frost.
Yeah, this I was actually trying out the active track on the drone to see if it would follow me by itself, which it does. I just actually had to, I actually put it over to my side to see if it would stay there or stay on my side or start dragging behind, which it does drag behind unless you tell it to orbit.
Will it? And that was going to be my question. Will it encircle you? If can you program it to just circle you as you move?
Yes, you can.
That's cool as shit.
Yeah,
John,
there is so much technology in this drone. It's just amazing.
All right, you guys.
Sean, I don't want to worry you, but I think you're being followed.
I think I couldn't help it. Something's just tracking me. I couldn't tell what it was.
Actually, it looks like
Is that feeling on the back of your neck?
it looks like Haywood Banks is being followed.
All right, you guys carried a show for a little bit. I got to run to Best Buy based on all this footage.
You're not going to find a magic at Best Buy.
This is now the Sean Harford show. I'll see you all later.
After 6 on New Year's Eve, I'm sure that place will be packed full of employees.
Well,
Yeah.
I have 3 months to try to win the one from Wolfie, so.
Well, see, I'm going to win the competition. I'm not going to ask for another drone. I'm going to ask for more batteries.
Yeah, see, I'm pretty sure I can win the one from
That's why I'm
Best
getting the
Buy.
drone.
Let's see if he stops. Nope.
Oh, failure to stop.
Go right through it. Paid it no heed whatsoever.
No Fs were given.
Oh,
So-
don't park in the handicap spot.
As
Okay,
if the
that's
guys who
fine.
spent an hour putting that sign there didn't have better shit to do that day. You just walk right past it like nothing ever happened.
Well, it's for bikes.
No respect.
Not on
No
a bike.
respect at all.
It's for bikes.
Yeah.
I saw
And
no-
just for clarification, in case people ask, I did get permission from the park administrator to have this flight over the park.
Do you have to do that where you are?
Yes. You have to do that at a park. If it's a federal park, you can't fly at all. If it's a state park, you have to get permission from whatever organization runs the park. Some states ban drone flights. This is a county park, so I had to actually go to the county administrator to get permission to do this flight.
Hmm.
Yeah, there is a lot of regulations for drones in America.
Yeah, what's the deal with the FC?
I mean,
the
that Indiana
registration?
doesn't have a heavily.
I heard the
regulated.
registration requirement was being rolled back because of the whole experimental aircraft thing being excluded, but then it's
No,
not.
it
You still have
was
to do
rolled
it.
back. It was rolled back. They just re-implemented it.
I see. Yeah, I see nothing wrong with it, but except that
Well, the
Is it-
FCC gets $5 out of every drone owner every 2 years. Or yeah, because it's a 2-year registration. You have to register it for $5 every 2 years.
I see.
And then if you get a 107 license, it's a considerably more expensive, but you can actually sell your footage or make money off of it.
Aha.
Sean, just don't fly it tonight, because I think it's gonna get shot down otherwise.
You think?
Odds
One
are.
thing about
Yeah.
one thing about being where I live now versus where I used to live in Indianapolis is that I don't have to worry about staying under a roof on New Year's.
Hmm.
There's at least 50-50. Well, it's been 2 or 3 years ago, but at least 50-50 gunshots and fireworks that New Year's. I'm like, fuck this. I actually hear bullets hitting the street.
Oh my god.
That's supposed. If people do that, they should at least. If they don't have just some other way of celebrating, they're going to shoot into the air like birdshot, something that isn't going to harm it. They're not supposed to be firing 45 long Colts into the air.
At any kind of ballistic angle.
Hmm.
Yeah, it used to be up until while I was living in Indianapolis. I moved there in 2000, and while I was living there, they made it illegal to shoot your gun in the air in celebration. Like, wait a minute, you just decided that was a bad idea.
Well, up until then, they had assumed people would figure that out on their own.
No, they didn't. That was that's why my neighborhood.
Exactly.
That's why my
It's a very
sounded like
oddly specific law.
Almost
Yes.
as if they were having issues.
This one was from the 28th.
Indiana.
This was my second attempt at getting a multiple sunrise, but as you can see, the weather was not cooperating at all. And it was -3 degrees out there, and I was standing out there in the, on the side of the road and freezing my fingers off. But I tried, and it didn't work.
Did you notice any difference in flight time based on the temperature? Batteries.
No.
Different batteries behave differently in different temperatures, so it was just about the same as normal.
These batteries run up to running temperatures about 20 degrees Celsius in just a couple minutes. Even if you have them outside, because actually, one of the channels that I follow that I actually learned a lot about the drones is called 51 Drones. I'm trying to get him on for an interview just to promote his channel, because he's got some really good information out there for people who either have or are looking to get drones. But he actually did a test on this exact thing. He actually left a battery out in the -5 degree weather. It was fully charged. He let it get down to air temperature of -5 degrees. Popped it in his drone and then hovered it in his yard for 19 minutes and 45 seconds. Then he took a battery that was at standard room temperature, just under 70 degrees, did the same thing, and he got 9 minutes and 15 seconds out of that flight. So it actually, it's within the range of variability in the batteries. It doesn't really affect your flight times.
Okay, that's almost as if I'm thinking about acquiring such a thing with these oddly specific questions. And,
any knowledge that I pass on about the drones, I definitely have to give props to 51 Drones, because without his channel, I would not have known any of it. And the dude is a brain when it comes to drones, and he's an amateur drone flyer too. He's been doing it for a little over a year, but he's actually gone out and tested these hard questions that everybody has. And yeah, I want to talk his channel up. I want to get people to subscribe to him if they're even somewhat interested in ever getting a drone, because they are extremely fun. They're very addictive. I want to fly as much as I can, but the weather right now is absolute crap.
Bernie Burns from Rooster Teeth has his own vlog series, and every episode heavily features drone footage that he gets from whatever city he's been visiting. And I don't have a clue what kind of equipment he's using, but the footage is amazing.
Well, it could be as simple as a Mavic.
Well, he's getting great altitude and huge range. Like, he filmed the complete crossing of the Golden Gate Bridge at altitude.
Let me explain this to you. With a Mavic, from the person standing in the same spot, you can get about 3.5 miles range. If you're driving with the drone, you got basically unlimited range as long as you have a battery.
As long as the power stays on. Again, have no idea. I just know that the footage that he captures is absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, I'm just sticking around because this drone was a gift. I cannot afford to replace it, so I don't want to have an accidental flyaway when I lose signal.
I had a kid that lived down the street from me when I lived in LA or in Indy that he sold drones, and he was a fairly remarkable drone pilot. I'll give him that. He would fly the thing top speed down the street with trees on either side, and then do a vertical loop and fly it back to him, and then do another vertical loop and fly it back. And I guess he was in some kind of a league, some kind of a battle league, where they would put lasers and sensors on the drones.
Oh, geez.
Have airborne battles with them.
Laser tag with drones. Gotta love.
Yeah.
Are those deer tracks? That sure is. Deer were crossing that lake. I never noticed that. Oh. Of course, I had to stop at some place. Yeah, those are deer tracks.
Wow, that looks thin.
It is thin ice. I'm surprised they survived that.
Definitely.
I'd never seen that.
And that's
Underfed deer.
that's a 4K camera on that thing.
It is capable of 4K at 60 frames per second, but since I can't render 4K, I just keep it at 1020 or 1080.
Well, I certainly have no criticism of the images you got. That's. There's Sean from the public chat. Cypher says he sent you a question in the PM regarding the telephoto lens being good enough for ISS transit of the sun or not. I'm not sure PM if he means Hangouts or in.
I think I've seen something because I've actually had a couple questions about transits from several people, and I'm not the guy to ask about transit equipment or stuff you need to do to catch them. I just know that there's a transit finder app that will let you be in the right place at the right time. I know that you need good, you need something that has decent zoom that can actually catch the moon or sun in full frame, which P900 will do easily. Heck, even my 60X camera will catch the moon at almost completely full frame. But as far as any kind of special lens requirements, I'm not the guy to ask. I really ain't.
Okay. And it was a YouTube PM, he says, but okay. So, all right.
I know that you want a solar filter if you're looking at the sun. You want to make sure your exposure is not set to automatic. You want to actually center the object that you're trying to use as a backlight for the ISS. Full frame, full zoom. That way, if you have it on auto exposure, it'll automatically expose to that. And then change it to manual exposure, and then it won't change after that if you zoom out a little bit. But you don't want it to have auto exposure through the whole thing, or else you might actually screw something up by accident.
Too much exposure.
Too much or not enough.
That's what they tried to nail me for too much exposure when I was in college.
Well,
dude, I'm peeing in a bush. How much exposure is that?
I was going to say exactly where were you whipping it out at?
I was peeing in a bush. How was that indecent exposure? He couldn't see anything other than the fact that I was obviously peeing in a bush.
Yeah, because if you see, I actually caught the sun between a gap of the clouds, but that's not what I was aiming for. Was gaps in clouds? I was looking for a horizon sunrise. So I just made this a entertainment flight for myself.
Okay, the storage across the street from the water treatment, is that natural gas storage?
It's actually methane storage from the water treatment.
Okay.
And yes, this place smells like shit.
I was when I moved from Fort Wayne to Indianapolis, I moved from being downwind from a bakery to being downwind from not just the water treatment plant, but also the incinerator.
Oh, dude.
So when the wind came out of the north, whoo!
Now, I will say this about the water treatment plant. It smells a lot better than a place called Bowater in Tennessee.
Oh,
Bowater.
You ever driven Terre Haute?
It actually smells worse than that in Bowater. Or at least it used to. Bowater, it was a little rinky-dink town that had a factory that did nothing but make wood pulp for paper.
Ooh.
That is the most obscene smell you will ever have to experience in your life.
I beg to differ.
Oh, no. It smelled like somebody bottled, every fart on the planet and then held your nose right into the bottle.
It was a rendering plant for dog food.
Well, the paper plants with the wood. Sean's pretty much. I remember that from driving past Savannah, Georgia. There's quite a few plants in that area that, if the wind is right, you want to be elsewhere.
Yeah, the rendering plant just smells like rotting flesh. My elementary school was literally the opposite side of a fence from a pig farm.
Oh, geez.
Okay, pig farm. You know what?
Nothing separating my elementary school from a pig farm except for a chain link fence. And on really good days in the summer, when this area, well, not the area I'm in now, but the area that my school was in was growing, we actually made the introduction of the U.S. Nightly News and the cover of U.S. News and World Report for our water quality. And aside from the color, the smell was sulfur. So we'd get the smell of sulfur from flushing the toilet, and there's a fucking pig farm next door.
I'm just going to leave that screen paused there because that is such a beautiful picture from the map.
That's a nice shot.
That is nice.
We're obviously being afraid, but aside from that,
all lake effect cirrus clouds because we get lake effect snow here. Lake effect, Lake Michigan just totally destroys our whole weather system up here.
Are you in South Bend?
Close.
Okay.
But even right now we're experiencing lake effect snow. And yeah, it's just these really high altitude clouds. There's nothing but evaporation from the lake, and it gets some really great sunsets when the conditions are just right. Yeah, none of these are, well, I'm sorry, these two front clouds are actually regular system clouds, but everything else you see here is all from the lake. And it's just a really pretty scene. I like it. And totally accidental.
Michigan City. You live in Michigan City.
No, they actually don't get much lake effect weather, believe it or not.
They're too far due south.
No, Michigan City is like right next to Lake Michigan. It's too close for the lake effect weather to actually change into.
I thought it was too far due. Well, no, south of the region.
It's called Michigan City because it's like right at the corner of Michigan, and it's right where Indiana meets Michigan at Lake Michigan.
Well, there's also Cuba, Indiana, and guess what?
Just don't go to Gary.
Been to Gary.
Oh,
I've hung out in Hobart. I've hung out in Whiting. I've hung out in East Chicago.
No, for like 8 years straight, Gary, Indiana had the nation's murder capital record.
Yeah, it's been at least 70% of my 50 years that they've been the murder capital.
And they've never been below like the top 5 or 6.
Wait,
Yeah.
Somebody beat Camden, New Jersey?
Yeah.
I thought Camden
Yeah,
was it.
Gary, Indiana's an evil place.
Ah,
Well,
all right.
and East Chicago isn't dramatically better because there's a park right at the eastern edge of Gary that butts up against, south is Hobart, but it butts right up against East Chicago. And the high school that area feeds is almost all white and Latino. So I actually watched, might have been one of the last true rumbles in the history of human civilization. But it was knives and log chains and shit like that. Just guys going at it in the park, and I'm sitting on a curb eating popcorn.
I see.
Yeah, there's no holds barred in Gary.
See, another important safety tip. You see why you folks watch this show now? Safety is safety.
Yeah,
is
if you ever go to Disneyland and you're in that part of California, don't go due west and slow down. If you're going to go west from there, go from Anaheim all the way to the coast. Because otherwise you drive through a town called Stanton, and that's where the Bloods and the Crips got started.
Oh,
And they forced all the Bloods and the Crips out, but now it's full of Vietnamese gangs, and they're actually more violent than the Bloods and the Crips were.
See.
Yeah. Steve Baum in the chat saying there's a rich part of Gary. I forget the community. A bunch of doctors live. That's the 6-figure houses right behind my place is all doctors.
Tell you what, downtown Gary is really nice. Now, I mean, 20 years ago it was horrifying, but they built an opera house, and then all kinds of downtown money showed up, and I won't say it's gentrified, but it's middle class black neighborhoods. It's like in California it goes Watts, Compton, Carson.
Oh, there goes the party.
And
RJ's here. Hey, happy pre.
You know what I just said?
by the time you get to Carson, it's upper middle class, but it's still completely black ethnically.
Well, Artemis, let me try to give you a hint here. Obama's been to my city twice, but don't say where it was.
Okay.
It was national news that Obama was here twice.
Oh.
Oh shit! Now I got to be able to figure that out.
That's what I'm saying. If you figure it out, don't blurt it out because I don't want people to know where I live.
All right.
But that should be enough of a clue to let you know where I live.
Well, I was born in Hicksville, Ohio, and you live almost due west of Hicksville.
Well, I was born in right outside of Canton, Ohio. So
Yeah, and Hicksville is due west of Canton.
Yeah, because my mom was nice enough to go into labor on the College Football Hall of Fame.
How amazing! Keep an environment there where
she got the steps to get washed.
It's flat. It's glacial plain.
Ooh. west.
I was actually driving from Fort Wayne to Chicago, and the girl I was seeing at the time, she's in the car with me, and she's from California. She's like, "My God, it's really flat here." And I said, "Yeah, it's so flat that water doesn't even collect in pools or rivers; it just evaporates." And she turned to me and she said, "Really?" And I said, "I give this 2 months."
Actually, southern Minnesota, I think with Minnesota, was the flattest landscape on the planet I've ever seen. I screamed at the desire that they put some inflatable mountains or something up on the horizon, because it made Kansas seem like the Alps.
Yeah, parts of Kansas are downright bumpy, but North Dakota, by far the flattest thing I've ever driven across.
If
you just have horizons of just dull. You don't even have a grade. You know, at least if you're going, there are times when you realize you're going up and down the high plateau here in Washington, where you're going uphill or you're going downhill, so you can see stuff that's kind of far away. And my favorite spot of driving to Seattle is the weather check, because there's a part where you just come over the rise just before you get to the Columbia Gorge, and if the weather's clear, you see Mount Rainier. It's 100 miles away, and it is this gigantic thing sticking up 14,000 feet. It's the most astonishing sight. And if you drive just a little bit farther on, you won't see it again, and you have to get right on top of it on the West Coast to be able to spot it. But you go, what the hell is that? And they really could use some of that in Wisconsin.
If you look at an atlas of Interstate 90 as it crosses North Dakota, you'll see a distinct lack of anything less than 90-degree turns in it. Those 90-degree turns are there to keep you from tying your steering wheel off and sleeping in your car as you cross the state.
Well, now we have auto drive on the freeways with the smart cars and stuff, which you have a smart autos thing. You can do that no matter what.
I wouldn't be surprised if a Tesla got bored and drove straight across the state, just driving past all those sections where it was supposed to turn. Just fuck it. There's nothing in the way.
The thing goes, I'm afraid I can't do that, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Road goes to the right.
Please. The saddest thing, I felt sorry for the poor little schnook. This was quite a long time ago in the 80s when we drove on a big long trip back east, and we were going through the Poconos in New York. And we stopped for gas, and he noticed that we had a Washington State license plate. It was kind of one of these semi-self-serve things, so there was actual people that help you in those days. And weird environment. But anyway, he says, "Oh, Washington." He says, "How do you like our mountains here?" And we were going, "Hills? Oh, these are your mountains. Oh, well, they're really quite scenic." Yes. Well, because from our standpoint, those were hills. You know, a couple 1,000-foot thing. That's a hill.
Well, Artemis, you're talking about your girlfriend and her wonderful education.
Yeah, her California education.
Well, I actually did an education test at my work. You know, I asked about 40 or 50 people the same question, and only 2 in the store actually got it right. And the question was simple, because I walk back and forth to work. It's a 3-mile walk. So I'd ask him, it's like, I walk to work every morning. It's a 3-mile walk. It takes me an hour to walk to work. How fast am I going? Only 2 people in the store that I asked, which was about 40 to 50 people, got it right.
First of all,
so there's really long division in knowing how many feet are in a mile and know how many minutes in an hour and all of that. This was eluding their capacity to evaluate.
Yeah, they couldn't study. They couldn't study the sentence to find the answer. They had to think about it, which is where they
right.
So.
And they vote probably too.
Certainly,
yes, they do.
And 3 of them were math teachers.
Disconcerting. All right. Hey, now might be a good time with the New Year's coming up. I have another short video we might want to show. It's NASA's to-do list for 2018. So why don't we very quickly take a look at what they're planning to work on this one. This is a very short one. That's
hopefully budgeted.
Budget constraints and all that. All right, here we go. Let's see what NASA has on the to-do list for 2018.
It would help to show it.
Yeah, I think you need to share it, because the Pug has a cute soundtrack, but I think we need
does
visual.
Sound great.
guys are just
Cruel. I know,
overly critical.
we're vitriolic.
Overly
So
critical.
NASA's
Some
plan
kind of
for the year is a
sense
pug.
that you're doing to us here.
You know what? You want to see it? Watch the video later. All right, can you see it? Can you see it, Matt?
They're
Do
sending
you
a
see
large speaker system into space.
it? Do you see it?
Now we do, yeah.
Fly closer than ever before. Can we put a few flurfers on that satellite?
I would consider
they-
that wasted money.
They
Drink.
can tell us-
But would be damn fun, wouldn't it?
Drink.
I want to hear a flurfer tell us about what space sounds like. It's one of my favorite parts of the Mr. Deity first video. He's sitting in creation and he says, "Does this sound right to you?"
Well, there's actually one part of that video that actually bothers me with the way they have it worded, and that's the prepare to send people to space or to the moon. Yeah, that's nice and all, but
That fits
Do
with
it.
we lost the technology to go to the moon. Remember?
oh,
Yeah.
good lord.
We stepped backward. Well, I was pissed off when Mondale became vice president because he and the Senate had been one of the big opponents of doing a really full court press space shuttle that would be fully reusable. And the reason why we got the training wheel version that we got was largely due to him. And he was not somebody I was fond of at the time.
See, that's another reason I know you're older than.
Yeah, I'm older than dirt.
Hold on.
Good to see you, RJ.
Dirt was a cat.
Partner
Dirt
with
died
industry
last
to
year.
make Sonic Boom's quieter.
Oh yeah, I'd love to know about that. Yeah, there's all the canards and a variety of wave displacement. All you got to do is to get the N wave down to a bunch of little itty bitty N waves, and you could theoretically have a boomless supersonic.
Yeah, more like a duck, less like a boom.
Yeah, yeah.
Is this going to be a
No, they just
Deep
need to
Ducks
make it look
echo
like a duck.
thing?
Or what was your question, Sean?
Over that one.
As long as it doesn't
Actually,
echo.
We had that. Yeah, we had this conversation the other day. We were talking. Nobody else in the conversation had seen the tests that the MythBusters did. But even then, one of the guys fairly well described. He's like, "Isn't it because of the how short the wavelengths are?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of exactly why it is."
Indeed. All right. We have some.
The question
Yeah, the
that went
Webb
unanswered was,
telescope, isn't that the one that's sort of the super Hubble?
Oh, indeed. That is. I eagerly await seeing what we get from Webb. I was especially since I got to see it during its assembly phase out at Goddard. It only had about 5 or 6 of the mirrors actually attached. This was before they shipped it off to be shaken and bludgeoned and tested.
Oh, I love chat.
Oh, what did I miss?
Cypher said, it sucks that Trump thinks the moon is important, so NASA won't be focused on Mars. China will probably get to Mars before the U.S. because NASA always having to change what they do, which is true. I disagree with what they keep making NASA change their minds on.
Yeah.
Eric
Yeah,
W.
that's the one.
Eric W. replied with, we build a wall on the moon that China can't cross. Well, they have to pay for it too.
Yeah, I think actually the Chinese space program is one of the things that could get the old style space race mentality going again, because you don't want those Chinese people flying to Neptune ahead of us, do you?
surely there's someone working
No,
on.
no. You'll be able to
technology
take
necessary
advantage
to-
of all that Neptuminium.
Yeah, there we go. Well, it's better than finding the Uranusinium.
I've missed you, RJ.
And,
That
Artemis,
stuff is
you-
stinky, and we haven't found a use for it, so we just keep flushing it.
Artemis, you were saying something?
Yeah,
Before you
there
do,
we
I
go.
gotta
Well,
tell you,
they can
please
be
stop calling me
president now.
Shirley.
We were okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure where you heard me start to say something, but I was going back to the duck thing. The next question was, what would be the advantage of having a call like that? And isn't it true that short wavelengths travel through water better?
Actually,
Oh, I don't know the answer to that one.
I would think, and this just from the this is in RF longer wavelengths you need to actually penetrate water, and long range communication by whales would tend to indicate that might be the opposite.
Bingo. Yeah, yeah, because you can. Of course, you got to be damn loud. I think the loudest sound any animal makes are the sounds that the long range whales make.
Indeed, and
Yeah, the loudest animal on Earth. The reason that came to me as maybe that was true. Maybe it was true that short wavelengths would travel because of the density of the medium that it's traveling through. But it still wouldn't mean that it wouldn't dissipate more quickly just because of the light.
I think it's the dissipation thing rather than its speed.
Right.
But anyway, some person who's a hydrodynamician.
Well, actually, waves are more buoyant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah, and is there a succession going on? Succession going on with all of that water.
It's all about vanishing points, guys.
Yeah. And underwater, the Curvizon is like a hyperbola, so it looks completely different underneath there. You've seen that fish island.
That's why you can't punch underwater.
Or Judy either.
oh, that's
Oh, geez.
all right. It's Sunday.
I need a fork and a dog.
You still miss me?
I'm going after the dog with a fork as we speak.
Do I need to mention this is not a Friday night?
That shit's not funny.
New Year's Eve. I'm glad to have some people to talk to on New Year's Eve because I'm all by myself here.
Oh,
I am too. I'm here with one dog that's ambulatory and one that's not so much.
And neither one of them are
fork in it.
particularly loquacious on the Webb telescope.
I'm going to turn my if I happen to see my dog Pavlov, this will absolutely be his last New Year's. If I happen to see him wander into the room, I'll turn the camera on so you guys can see him on his.
Did you seriously name your dog Pavlov?
I did.
That's sweet.
Oh.
I also named my short black female Shorty Boo.
So do you drool every time he barks?
Actually, slightly less funny but more ironic was that when he was a puppy, he was afraid of bells.
See.
I still love my niece's two dogs. Both just have conniption fits in the days of high definition whenever dogs appear or a lot of animals on the television because it's so realistic. Start screaming bloody murder over them.
Uh-oh.
I had a shepherd wolf that was fascinated by the movie Bears. Remember the movie The Bears? It was just animal noises. I think there were like 17 words in the whole movie. And he would sit his ass down in front of the TV and watch that whole thing intently. And when it was over, he'd lay down and fall asleep.
Wow. You found the dog drug.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was my California dog. He jumped through the living room window trying to follow me to work one morning, and he left a shepherd wolf size hole in the window.
Woo!
And I never saw him again after that, but it worked out all right for everybody, I think.
Oh, Cypher, the answer is yes. That is Christians Against Dinosaurs is queued up for next week. That's
oh my god.
That should be a fun one, RJ.
I was a contributor for almost 2 years.
To
CAD is my jam.
I see. Okay. Well,
I was that's true. I really was on CAD for 2 years, but what I used it as a tool, and I taught myself to debate honestly as a Poe.
Okay.
So I don't regret that I did it, and it was a lot of fun to make fun of people for having really bad arguments.
Okay, honestly as a Poe. Now you've left me lost.
There we go. Yeah, he was a professional troll. He went to college on it.
The things that I said were true, and the questions that I asked were sincere.
Oh, okay.
That's what I mean by honest.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, well, any argument can be approached methodologically. That's my major point. And so the stupid arguments have a different range. I was just up till I'm kind of semi-weird than usual because I was up to like 6 o'clock in the morning plowing through a video by that creationist Nuri guy that Peter put me on to. He was talking about the young earth creationist thing, and he gave me the website to it, and I said, oh, he's got a video. It doesn't have any written texts other than books you buy. And so he had a thing about the Exodus. and the proof that the Bible was true, and the pharaohs and the changing Egyptian chronology. And I thought, oh, great. Yeah. And so I was spending all of the hours and hours tracking down the issues involved. And you learn a lot of stuff that way. In some respects, the stupider the argument, or the more fundamentally weird the argument, the more useful it can be.
Yeah, the more shit you have to look up to figure out where the hell they got the idea that anything they just said was true.
Yeah, remember when guy from MASH, the scientist geek. Oh gosh, the question he's been doing a thing where to challenge scientists to explain things so simple a kid can understand it, and that they would come up with questions and the like, and kind of use sort of a grassroots crowdsourcing of ideas to see how better to improve science education. And one of the first ones they put up was a thing that was deliciously difficult. And that is, why does a candle flame do what it does? And it's actually not an easy problem to address. And so those things actually can be terribly useful. And of course, creationists and flat earthers and all the rest, they're effectively challenging the fundamental assumptions that we operate under. So the more you have to kind of think back at looking at the deep core of your understanding, hones your own method, and plus gets you an ability to, if you can manage to respond to someone as stupid as a flat earther without resorting to vituperation, because you got your argument so well constructed.
Hang on a second, I gotta look up vituperation.
Vituperation. Here we go. Oh, I'm sorry. Jimmy's in thesaurus mode here.
I thought
I'm sorry to say that.
Throw out that shit at me. Hang on.
Okay, I don't know how to spell it, so just have.
I was just trying to thinkificate.
Is there a P in that word, vituperation?
Yep,
There's probably at least 7 silent P's.
UPR, yeah, MOUSE.
I have my Bible in here. I apparently have swapped it out for the thesaurus.
RJ, you're hurting my head. You're making me brainificate.
And then I've been swearing down. I got on the 10-day plan to minimize vituperation.
Okay, Sean, don't make me defenestrate you.
Oh yeah, there we go. Well, has the dog defenestrated down there in California?
Oh God.
Wow. So it's not what I was thinking then.
Too soon. Too soon.
There's an old Stephen Jay Gould was always fascinated because of the term. He wrote a thing on the defenestration of Prague, which is the famous example where a bunch of pissed off proto-Protestants got angry with the local priests for corruption and threw them out of windows, which is defenestration. And this is largely rude. So the terminology, the defenestration of Prague, is not actually a nice thing.
Is that like defeciation?
Yeah, well, there we get a lot of that in public discourse these days. Alex Jones secretes it like bile.
Turns the frickin' frogs gay.
Let us. Yeah, I call him Mr. Martian Pizzagator on my Twitter things. He's never responded, however.
Let's and Hill, how come you haven't asked? Is this supposed to be a science channel? Yeah.
Oh no, I'm enjoying this part of life.
From the
and to all the audience, I say, you're welcome.
This is what you get when you invite me. You get seriously. I can't be expected to maintain the level of intellectual integrity as you guys are as far as science goes. What I do is I kind of understand what you're talking about, and then try to say something to act like I understand it.
And Google the rest.
I've got too high of a sense of humor to actually keep the topic serious, even though we're talking about serious stuff.
Yeah, anybody that says there's no such thing as a funny rape joke.
Think of it as the New Year's Eve comedy wrap-up show. I always miss Buck Henry and a bunch of other ones used to do a radio a parody of a year-end wrap-up, and they haven't done it for years because a lot of them are dead, and that slows them down enormously.
Yeah, that would be kind of a kink in the plan.
Yeah, but it was the funniest deadpan stuff I'd ever heard because they treated it all as if they were doing a BBC report, and they would just make up shit. Absolutely hilarious imaginary news events, and they would do it with such complete panache and skill. It was some of the funniest stuff I'd ever heard, and I really missed them when they stopped doing it.
That would be amusing, but yeah, and it was actually, it's in the description of the video. This is the wrap up for this year, and just an opportunity for everyone to say Happy New Year to each other and that sort of thing. But
Well, I did read in the invitation where it said something about if you've done something sciencey, and I was like,
got the cork out.
Well, does
got the cork out of the bottle. That's science.
Anti-sciencey count.
Yeah, I have
That's what I
tried
do.
to hate people through sarcasm. I'm not sure that counts, but fuck it, I'm gonna roll with it.
Yeah, there we go. You got the merit badge in the science department.
Yeah, but
Critical
take
star.
that off. Is it science when you track bowel movements and you just mark things for like shape, color, consistency?
Yeah. See, here's the thing: is that I tend to mark as I have a bowel movement, and that's pretty much all the information anybody needs to know.
I think,
I think it's far too much information, actually.
Okay.
All I can say is, don't drink 2 pots of decaf, people. Just don't do it.
Well, I mean, you have to remember, if you get this stuff on Science Friday, the woman that was on there that was talking about flies and the various environments they live in, she's quite a fly groupie, and a lawful of the flies that live on dung beetles.
Ooh, wait, did she know where they go in the rain?
No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were going into some
wait.
way X-rated material on that episode, and it was just hilarious.
Flies that live on dung beetles.
Yeah. And the ones that their habitat is reindeer nostrils, and that's where they lay their larvae. And it's more than you'd ever want to know. She's just written a book on the thing. She's a terribly witty. Oh, and another one's pointing out that if you don't like flies, you're going to be in trouble because they're the ones that pollinate chocolate.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Before reindeer existed, did they nest in the nostrils of caribou?
Oh, well, yeah, that's an interesting one to figure out. You see the various parasitical lifestyles. Parasites, if you've never read...
I was thinking more about the fact that a reindeer is nothing but a domesticated caribou. So did they wait until we domesticated caribou?
Well, at what period did the flying come in? Was that with the domestication?
And on Noah's Ark, were there 8 reindeer or 9?
Yeah, it depends on how clean they are,
That's right, he was a Jew.
All right.
If the circumcised caribou were okay.
I found that far too funny.
All right. Back to the video we just flew through with the goals for this year.
On a science-related question, does anybody here remember the old gas core nuclear reactor that they were working on way back in the day? That was that Carter administration that got axed. And has there been any potential work on that to revive that project? Does anybody know?
I have heard none.
I honestly haven't even heard gas core since 3 Mile.
Yeah, it was a project, and I was in favor of it. It was the idea of having a thing to have a nuclear propulsion system in space, and you had to do kind of fundamental research on it.
Yeah, I was 14
and
when
it was
I get carried away with who can remember what.
Yeah, and it was around the same time as that, and I know that the anti-nuclear sentiment of the time axed it. But the thing is that you need to have higher specific impulses in space to be able to really make headway, because we can't do all of these stupid chemical rocket things for the rest of our century.
Well, we're going to go to steam, aren't we? Isn't that what the flat earther was telling us?
Yeah, you're steampunk pedaling, You just put immigrants up in wheels like gerbils.
It's 1,700 feet into space.
Yeah.
Anyway, if I may
go for it, Mad Mike.
If I may inject a serious
terrestrial man, Mike.
The one thing that I was
do inject.
The one thing that I'm a little sad is not in the goals for this next year from NASA is the one project that I think is it has been defunded or is just not going to happen because they're doing other things now. It was the asteroid redirect mission. I thought that was just freaky exciting.
Yeah,
potentially earth-saving in principle,
exactly.
if you can get
that was the point
to do it.
That one was, and the technology they came up with in preparation for it was really amazing stuff. For the grasping of the object, they use something similar to the way insects adhere to surfaces, where it's a bunch of small, sharp, barbed things that just touch the surface. And the collective gripping is just, you can't remove it. It's that sort of thing.
Yeah, but you know, what you need is the Gecko probe. You know, we use those frequently in the 22nd century.
Indeed.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, and that was part of it was
Das
redirecting, redirect
Das
an
ist
asteroid,
Überlang.
put it into orbit around the moon, so it just kind of sits there, and in transit some sort of test using gravitational tugging to move other objects. In other words, yeah, save the planet if there's something big headed at us at some point.
Well, and even to reposition potentially mineral-friendly asteroids into a more convenient location for the mineral processing. I mean, I am looking forward to a future where we start using some of the resources into space, and because there's a hell of a lot of them out there. I mean, there's probably gold, platinum, all the elements and stuff. The idea that we can ever actually run out of stuff for the short term, given how big the solar system is, there's a lot of stuff out there. And isn't it logical to actually have the kind of normally polluting kind of industries out in space, because you don't really pollute space. It's kind of a meaningless term.
Absolutely. And Cypher in the public chat says asteroid redirect mission should be a normal exercise for any space agency so they can save the planet. Exactly.
Yeah, that's just my opinion. Yeah.
But
exactly.
I think they've
Then you gotta
collectively
worry about
decided,
people
I think we'll just hope the moon just kind of smacks it out of the way.
Yeah.
But see, then you got to worry about people like Jeranism being in charge of all the math and accidentally sending something directly at the Earth.
Yeah, there is always that risk.
Wasn't the redirect? Isn't that where we started delving into things like solar sails and ion rockets, and then we actually use ion rockets for satellites now?
Yeah, because if you've got time. And one of the reasons why you want to keep up a good astrometry program is to be able to detect Earth-grazing asteroids way in advance, so that you can do relatively trivial things like the gravitational thing or a little ion pulsar that does very, very low accelerations, but it does it continuously, and it only needs to nudge, and you no longer have a splat here.
Wait a minute. You said, okay, so wait, you said something they made solar sails and ion engines. So what I'm hearing is they made a TIE fighter.
Yes.
Kinda, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm looking for acceleration platforms.
Yes.
I want to have a craft that can do 1G acceleration, or even lunar G is still good, but 1G, good gravy. It's only 3.5 hours to the moon. It's only 2 days to Mars. It's only a week to Pluto with an acceleration platform.
Indeed. And
that's going to be hell on my complexion, though.
and
well, you mainly have to worry for the long haul ones. You're traveling pretty damn fast, if you were going out to Pluto, you would actually do a leapfrog over the asteroid belt, so you wouldn't have to worry about slamming into anything at 800 million miles an hour.
You know what surprised me?
I'm gonna call out somebody real quick. Hillo in the group chat for us cool people. None of us live in the UK.
Oh no, public chat.
It's actually accurate that it's a new year in the UK.
Oh,
yes, it is already there. It's already tomorrow. Good gravy.
Yeah,
but
only city colonial. You don't understand anything.
RJ, shut up. None of us. None of us in that group chat are in the UK. I can understand in the public chat, but not in the group chat.
Here's the place to say it.
Well, you know what, Sean? Fuck you too.
Hey, family friendly. Damn it.
Just saying.
Anyway, actually, again, back to that video. What did surprise me is, did you see the
continue, RJ?
The section about the measuring the ice sheets via lasers? That's the ICESat 2. Actually, I think we did that on one of the Sunday Science shows. That is still in, because I thought the trend was to ignore climate change and all that sort of thing, and with ICESat 2, that's going to pretty much
there are, fortunately, the ones that actually decide the stuff are in Congress. So they're the ones that actually sign the bills, and there still is a constituency for not brain dead on a lot of these little issues. The whole remote sensing thing, just within the last 20 years, has been such a burgeoning field where they can find out archaeology, remote sensing archaeology. You can find out stuff in ancient cultures and places where there used to be cities out in the middle of the desert that are invisible on the surface, but they stand out like a sore thumb with radar mapping.
Yeah, I'm not being mean to you, RJ. Every now and then, take a breath.
That's
I'm pretty sure
I breathe through my
Seriously.
nose. It's what shocks
RJ
everybody
inhales
is I can talk and not breathe because I am breathing.
do
I
you-
breathe through my nose.
Do you inhale through your anus? Because your mouth never takes air in.
isn't that RJ? Isn't that from
It's
your
weird,
acting
isn't it?
experience? That
I got that option, and it's really handy, and it just freaks everybody out. But yeah, I can literally talk while breathing, and I suppose it's how people do long trumpet solos or whatever. This
I'm
sitting
circular
here-
breathing, and that's not how you do it.
I'm sitting here waiting to hear a little whistling sound coming from your mic all the time.
RJ has actually mastered circular breathing with talking. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
you can't. Circular breathing has to hold some air in your mouth, not go from exhaling from one lung to the other and have them alternate which is drawing and which is expelling. That's although that would be a cool fucking trick. Your abdominal
Like I said-
muscles will be seriously jacked up.
Like I
but-
said, through his skin, so he doesn't need to, so he can keep talking.
well,
so
I
he
was
does
going to mention that that's a still photo, right? That's not video.
I tell you that deserves me to go live and turn the camera back on. If you're gonna there we the actual real live me in there. I got my multiple bathrobes and stuff on here because it's
Looks like
I'm
CGI.
keeping the temperature in the house at 50.
Well, see, now you'll see him shift to the left and right. That's him taking a breath.
All right. This is
Yes, it's moving like a shark. You see, or it's that insect's genes that I had put into me so that I breathe through my epidermis.
cheeks, and he's got to shift in his seat to get the air movement through him.
Yeah.
Don't mind that.
No, I just like to
whistle on
go back and
talking.
forth and back and forth in my little chair.
If he starts whistling, you know he's full.
RJ,
Like a tea kettle. Yeah.
yeah, he's actually he's wind powered. You see,
Used that a long time, Buckaroo.
Well, on that note, this might be as good a time as any to show Happy New Year from space, from
Yes.
space station here. So let us be greeted by our intrepid astronauts.
My fondest New Year's memory, we always had the New Year's Eve party at my house, which was kind of cool. So all of our friends would come over, family would come over. When the clock would strike 12, we're all together as a family, hugging each other, all that good stuff. But the big treat for staying up that late was my dad's chili. And let me tell you, his chili is good. And we would wait until midnight, even if you weren't having fun, just to have some of that chili. So for me, that's what I think of every New Year, is staying up till midnight and waiting for my dad's chili. And we'll see what we do up here, if I can even stay up that late. And I think we have a vegetarian chili, and we'll see how that competes.
As we transit the Earth in different orbits, we get to see snowy regions, we get to see tropical regions, we get to see middle weather type regions. And it's very interesting to think how everyone is spending Christmas and New Year's in those regions.
In Japan, in the morning of New Year's Day, people go out and watch the first sunrise. That's pretty popular in Japan. I have a memory with my father walking in the very, very cold early morning in Tokyo to watch first sunrise. It was a fun memory for me.
Quite honestly, I'm a morning person, so it's typically pretty challenging for me to stay awake for the ball to drop. My ideal New Year's Eve would actually probably be greeting the sunrise on the New Year, the first sunrise of the New Year. Something that sticks out for me as a really pleasant New Year's Eve was recently visiting some good friends in Colorado and hanging out just at someone's house, having a dinner party and playing some games and with our kids and our friends. Just lots of really good quality time together with people that we really care about.
Well, I actually have a question that the first guy brought up. When RJ farts, is that called a burp?
For more space.
I'll go for that.
I'm very pleased that we're staying highbrow this
here
year.
on the
This is
Size Trick
good.
channel, we ask the tough questions in life.
Absolutely.
No holds
Wait, is it a
barred
burp
on
or a
that.
hiccup?
I'll just point out historically, the practice of having a New Year's Eve thing is relatively recent. It really started coming in the late 19th century and really kicked in then in the early 20th century. Before that, people didn't pay any attention to it, and they only had a New Year's Day thing where they would go around and give the little calling cards to people and say welcome in the new year that way. But as they, I guess people wanted something more to do, and the booze manufacturers wanted people to drink more. So they started celebrating the New Year's Eve thing more.
Aha.
Well, I'm celebrating it with booze and technology, so I feel like I've really accomplished what the 21st century is all about.
Well, since I got to get up in the morning for work, I'll be sleeping through it.
I got a bottle of Muscat Asti, the sparkling Muscat that my niece had earlier. She had bought, and we hadn't opened up, so she gave that to me, and I'll be slurping on that for the New Year's.
Actually, Sean, I was going to ask you, because I remember you saying that you are near a time zone border, so I'm just going to ask, are you actually going to celebrate New Year's twice?
No. Why would I?
Oh. Well, then.
Oh, well.
Well, remember the diehards back at the Concorde? There was a thing where they would actually fly around the world, so that they would be able to celebrate midnight, because they could move faster than the things was, and you could get awfully drunk at 1,500, 1,200 miles an hour.
And this is an idea that has been just left to the wayside?
Yeah, well, the fact that the plane crashed kind of put a crimp on that.
Mm.
So I feel cheated, because I was expecting by now we would even be moving into hypersonic space planes and all that kind of stuff. You know, if you have a suborbital flight, you don't have to worry about in-flight movies or snacks. I mean, no flight can last longer than 45 minutes. So,
a buddy of mine was a B-2 pilot. Now he flies a desk, but we always have, I don't know how many, I'm sure that nobody's supposed to know how many B-2s are always in the air. And they would have a rally among the flight crews as to who would fly the New Year's mission, because they would get to celebrate New Year's, I think it was 7 times during their flight. But there was, it's a 22-hour flight, so they're just flying in a circle around the planet.
That would be interesting.
So you mean above the plane?
That's yes.
Yeah.
Actually, in the plane.
Yeah, it's good to be in the plane.
Evel Knievel in the plane.
Unless you're a Superman or an X-Men character, I would recommend using an aircraft.
Probably.
Thank you, RJ.
I actually got to see him fly his B-2. He did the overflight for the NHL has a New Year's Day hockey game that they play outside somewhere now. At any rate, they were having that game played. It was the Blackhawks in Soldier Field, and he flew from Alabama over Soldier Field. So I got to see him actually fly, and then he did this big sweeping wide turn as he went out over Lake Michigan. It was cool as shit.
Yeah, we've gotten the B-2s here a couple times at Fairchild Air Force Base. They have an annual day. I think it's in May, and big fly-in. And so I had a chance to actually see a B-2 close up. And they're a beautiful, weird bat wing. It's just wonderful.
It's kind of amazing how little reflective light comes off of them. It just kind of seems to eat sunlight.
Yeah, the F-111, that thing looked kind of like a flying iron.
Yeah,
steam iron, and butt ugly. But the B-2 has just
to be fair. To be fair, the B-2's paint job is designed to absorb or reflect electromagnetic waves in very odd directions.
Yeah.
So yes, it definitely does eat light.
Yeah, it's like looking at velvet, vertical, fresh new velvet, not the long velvet, but the short velvet. So it's just tufts and it just eats light, and that's what it was like looking at it. It was just a weird experience.
Yeah,
it screws with your depth perception on a sunny day.
But on that note, it is 7:12 p.m. and I do have to get up at 2 in the morning. So I am going to wish you all a good night and have a happy New Year. Everybody be safe.
Happy New Year.
Designated drivers, people, please.
Absolutely.
Yes, or use your teleporter if you have one.
Indeed. Well,
so,
happy New Year, Sean. Thanks.
It's a long drive from this bedroom to the one next door.
All right. Happy New Year, Sean.
Yes. Does Uber do service from your kitchen to your bedroom?
I don't think so. Well, I know 911 will.
Okay.
You're right out the front of the house if you call early enough.
Well, let us see. That is. Anybody have anything else sciencey to bring up? Just people have come to expect it with all.
Well, I got actually kind of partially for Christmas. I got a new telescope, which is nice.
Nice.
Ooh.
I remember
Tell
correctly.
us about its features.
It is a 76 millimeter reflector telescope on a Dobsonian mount.
Oh, very nice indeed.
Yes, and I also hope to be getting another telescope within the next few months of a equatorial telescope. So that's gonna be nice. Or a telescope on an equatorial
Or
mount.
looking
rather.
at the equator, or what? I'm
yeah.
this is up on the jargon.
Real funny, RJ.
It only
You just
works on the equator.
fill me with. I am ha 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 ha.
I do like.
Ha 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 ha.
I do like equatorial mounts. That's for the eclipse thing. That's what I built that monstrosity to hold all 4 cameras in the same direction and track the sun. Just
So I heard.
So the mounting thing, it's how the actual telescope is attached to whatever it's mounted. It's along its equator. Is that what that's referring to?
What it is?
Well, it basically an equatorial mount for a telescope. It does a nice kind of thing where the mount is lined up with the axis of rotation for the Earth, and you have to obviously align it because it changes for your latitude. But you align it with the axis of rotation of the Earth, and then once you point it at an object, it will kind of automatically track that object because it's going to be following the celestial sphere.
Yeah, and
bingo.
The advantage of that kind of, I mean, the just for size, a lot of the publicly available telescopes you can go and buy have very nice mounts. Or the Altaz mount, that sort of thing, where it's making adjustments on 2 planes all the time. And as good as technology is, I've just got this feeling that if you're taking a seriously high res vid, you're going to have little steps in the movement of the thing. Whereas with an equatorial mount, like Hill's describing, you're only rotating on one axis. You can use a nice smooth clock drive. And just my thoughts. I'm sure the computerized mounts are just fabulous. I have one, and I have not done anything with the level of magnification that would demonstrate this stepping effect I'm talking about. But it's just my fondness for analog. But anyway, well, congrats on the new scope there, Hill. That is cool.
Thank you. And eventually, once I hopefully get a telescope on an equatorial mount, I'd like to do some nice footage taking of different things through that. So I guess look forward to that, I suppose.
Indeed. I am, in fact, looking forward to that. All
Good,
right.
you have followed my instructions well.
Indeed, and you didn't even have to deceive me.
So that's the sort of thing that provided, of course, the Seattle clouds were disappeared. You would be able to get a good shot of the space station going over, things like that.
Yes, I hope to do that relatively soon. I'm looking forward to that.
Then the flat earthers can announce, well, that's all the CGI chip that's in your telescope.
That's all. That's why I'm doing it.
A completely optical device comes pre-programmed with images for you to see.
Yes.
Yeah, if you get the older ones, you can actually see things where there'll be little enterprises and stuff that'll be flying up there.
Yes.
Yeah. Apparently, they're powered with gems.
I'm looking forward to getting a more modern steam-powered one. So.
Well,
I see.
You have to get it from an Amishman to get that.
Well, I still go for the gerbil ones because the gerbils have to make a living too.
That's a good point, and they need their exercise.
Indeed.
Yeah. And the little happy little face where the little things go around and the little feet go. It's just they chirp so wonderfully.
Yeah, and gerbils can trot, unlike hamsters. Hamsters just have to flat out run, but a gerbil's got to trot, so you can keep them going for a good little while.
Oh gosh, there's jokes about hot to trot there that I think we'll just let go.
Jeez.
All right. Well, we've been
right up the poop hole.
We've been at this for coming up on 2 hours. What do you think? Should we just wish everyone a happy New Year and reconvene at some point in the future?
Oh, heck almighty! If you didn't mind chatting, I would just like to stay here and jibber jabber.
Oh. we'll do an after show of the not quite as sciencey as usual show as well.
Yes, yes. Yeah. You thought there was science before. Wait to the after show.
Wait, we talked about drug use. We talked about things that can hurt you. We talked about things that are so technologically advanced that even when you try to hurt yourself with them, they won't do it.
They will not allow it.
Gas core
Give a ton of advice of what
we
not
talk
to do.
science here.
And that's true. We did a fair amount of public service announcements for.
We talked about the fact that gerbils can trot, unlike hamsters.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yeah,
and
yeah. And that asteroids can be a nuisance.
Yes, and
Got no real clear answer on the duck thing, but I'm with you on that one. So we can roll with that.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. The ducks are cutting edge issues. You know, the duck quacking there's an international standard that has to be worked out through the conventions and all of that. Yeah. And of course, the Trump administration is going to be no on the duck quack.
Yeah. But don't they have like an official duck somewhere in France that we need to, the ultimate standard?
That one says quack quack.
National Institute.
And that giant foundation that was set up by Ludwig von Duck.
Speaking
of that guy sounds like a complete quack.
Oh no, it started. I was
Chuck really laid an egg.
It has started. Actually, somebody's got to do some research on the social behavior of geese, because
they're assholes.
As long as we're talking avian. Well, see, the funny thing is, there seems to be much more organization than one would expect. We've got a fairly
they're organized assholes. Then
we've got a fairly large contingent of Canada geese that hang out over here at the Jersey Shore, and I kid you not, they designate crossing guards. I'm not making this up.
Yeah, they're social animals. There was a fascinating Nova just last week on birds and how very sophisticated they are, way more than the ethnologists had thought 100 years ago.
Indeed, on many occasions, the lead goose, when these guys decide to cross the road, will walk to the center of the road, stop, and look at oncoming traffic and stare them down, while all the other geese walk behind them.
That's the Canada goose equivalent of the King's tester.
Yeah. You got one really gutsy goose. Just stand back, Mort. I'm taking this.
If that idiot doesn't get hit, the rest of us are going.
Oh yeah, Beach, you're right. Canada geese can get a look. Now, nothing until you've encountered a swan. Swans can break your arm by flipping their neck. But yes,
they're belligerent little bastards.
Indeed, nice looking at a distance. That's where you want to keep them.
And your cassowaries and emus and all of that, they're great kickers. We have to remember diatryma and all those cute little killer birds that used to run amok. We live in a much more boring environment today.
So much more boring. We don't have people going around being kicked by emus. Those back in the day when people were
and all of that. And I tell you, don't ever try to make a velociraptor as a house pet. They just don't work.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, those were the good old days.
All right. Oh,
you can't
Happy New Year.
Crap wherever they want, and every time you try to correct them, they just take a piece out of you.
I always regret that I never got the bumper sticker that I saw somebody had this back in the 60s. It's a Reunite Gondwanaland. And I've always been sad that I didn't pick that up at the time, because I've always loved the sentiment of it. People thinking that this is a political statement.
That would be great. Just on a T-shirt, that would be equally good. Especially in the back, so people would come up behind you and say, "Excuse me, what?"
Okay, now we've moved into
the Gondwanaland Liberation Front.
Sue Lynch advises us that we have to watch out for the drop bears, that they are nasty critters. Yes, if you happen to be, that's a bane of the Australian existence, is the drop bear.
What we need to do is get the drop bears from Australia over to the United States so they can take care of the snipe population.
No.
Drop bears eat snipe.
Yeah, there's nothing more exciting than a few days hunting snipe.
Thank you, RJ.
But you believe that their population could be controlled by a sizable drop bear population. That was the.
Absolutely, yes. There's been a monograph written on this by somebody whose name I will make up soon.
That's established science.
Okay.
Yeah.
Google that shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I had an interaction with a truculent idiot creationist like there's any other kind, where he was tossing off jargon with me, wanting to exchange. And don't Google it. Don't Google it. You can't Google it.
Those are rules. Don't educate yourself.
Yeah, you got to know these obscure medical terminology right off the top of your bat. And I was actually writing them down, and doing research on it to find out most of them had to do with the basal ganglia and all that. So I could figure out what the hell they are. But don't try to jargon shit me. I'm the master.
Yeah, I had a guy try to do that with me with near-death experiences, using all this phraseology that just is almost strictly limited to that field. And like, all right, hang on, I'm going to look this up. He's like, no, if you don't know it, then you don't know it, and you must be wrong. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is your argument for your
what
God.
Fork to use, you aren't in the club.
Yeah, this is your argument for your guide. Can I have a second to look into it?
RJ, do you have the public chat up?
Hmm?
Do you have the public chat up?
No. I'm actually and the font on there with the white on lab.
It's kind of hard to
walls
see.
It's actually kind of hard to read.
I'm gonna have to do something about that. But Fino put up a couple of links for you, and the link for the public chat it's in the Hangouts chat if you want to bring it up.
Okay. Let me look over into there.
Yeah.
Bingo bongo.
Fino put up two links for you. Beach says like Australia needs to make up scary critters. No.
You have to put it up again on the chat. I don't see anything on my feed here.
Oh yeah, maybe you jumped in after. Okay, hold on. I'll throw it in there.
Yeah, it kind of clears at a point. Oh, and I will throw them up in there and pop that. I'll show everybody my Christmas gift.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me put my camera back on here.
Did it come in a plain brown package?
No. My niece and company, that they're so pissed off by the fact that I have no phone that's
a reasonable thing to be annoyed by.
Yeah, and I had to triage. Why was my camera not doing its little shtick here? Come on.
Was this present inside of a larger box? Inside of a larger box? Inside of a larger box?
They bought me a smartphone.
Wait, let me. Wait, let me present.
Now, at the moment, I don't have the phone attached to it yet.
Hold on, I'm presenting
my food stamp thingy to try to get a free phone service. My niece, who knows all about these things, says, "Oh, you should be able to get free phone service on there." But at least it's connected up to Wi-Fi now, and I'm able to do some little things on it. But yeah, so I'm now in the 21st century. Isn't that absolutely exciting? I've been learning how to swipe. In a way that will not cause it to have conniption fits, And I understand that you can send telegraphs along these things, They call them texts. Yeah. So I'm fairly up to speed for 1850. I don't think people use these for actual voice communications. Mr. Bell is not going to like to know that, to realize that we've gone back to telegraphs.
Yes, oddly, and we're gonna have to change the name of the telephone. There's very little talking going on.
How many people still say they tape stuff when they're using their DVR?
Yeah, I hear it also has stereo.
Oh, remember quadraphonic? Boy, remember that craze.
I think it has some Polaroids attached as well.
I can remember.
Oh, actually, my niece's daughter had bought one of the Polaroid is still making Polaroid cameras. One that's a cute little thing, and it's a tiny thing, so it's basically making a Polaroid selfie, and it prints out just like the thing. It only takes like a minute, and they're a little itty bitty thing about the same size as a cell phone. And apparently, it's the thing that people do like the fact that they get a hard copy at a party. They can actually put a picture out. It's not something that you're just looking at on a screen. So they've got a digital version of the Polaroid camera, and it's a cute little thing. Yeah. So I'm happy to see that kind of going on. It's a tradition that carries on.
I bought I think it was a Polaroid brand picture printer. You bought the photograph paper and ran it through the machine, and it wasn't exactly an awesome quality production, but this was the 90s.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Well, I think Kodak tried a little bit of that too. When they came out with an instant camera at just the point when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
It didn't quite work out that way.
This camera was such a flying success.
Yeah. Well, yeah, once digital came along, that transformed the whole thing, and then everybody had to figure out what a megapixel was.
Okay,
Yeah.
guys, we have another important safety tip for you guys. I'm not sure.
Oh goodness.
I'm not sure which of you are in need of this or why, and I don't want to know. But Nim points out that koalas have chlamydia. So no one.
Watch out for that on New Year's, guys.
No commentary is
Combat.
required.
Koalas were afflicted with chlamydia, but now that I do know that,
You be a little more careful, aren't you?
be much more. Well, and certainly if you know any koalas closely, this is something that they can be told about.
Especially on New Year's, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
If you're wanting to know a koala biblically, you're gonna want to wrap that rascal.
Look at that. You made that whole line family friendly just for me, didn't you?
Well,
I did actually.
Monetized on the last day of the year now, do you?
I gotta make some joke.
Oh, Angle comment says RJ should do a tech show where he gets introduced to new gadgets and we watch his reactions.
That is
Boy,
really
that
not
would
a bad
scare off
idea.
the natives.
Oh,
Hey.
get you together with what's his face, Iowati, for his gadget show.
You know,
Well, SciStrike knows how tough it was to guide me through the process of setting up my YouTube. I mean, boy, I
else
mean,
would,
it was like, oh, good gravy, this guy's from 1800.
Who
tell
else
him
would
the
pay
truth. Tell
money
him
to
the
watch
truth.
that?
RJ, tell him the truth. Let us
good point.
tell him the truth, RJ. The reason it was difficult we had, let us say, some difficulties in getting RJ used to the process of doing videos and all that had nothing to do with being stuck in the past or not up with technology. The problem
Because I
was,
jumped ahead too much.
yes, he thinks too damn fast. We'd be at step 3. We'd be at step 3, and he's already at step 14. And I'm saying, okay, now look for this thing. I don't see that. Are you still on the step? No, I'm 15 steps ahead of you there, Cy. God damn it.
So I gotta back up.
It has nothing to do.
It was
with,
kind of funny. We learned to write very early up here in our educational system in Washington State. When we went down to California, I was in the middle of 2nd grade, and the teacher was giving dictation in class, and I was writing it cursively. And she said, "No, you're not supposed to do that yet." So I had to go back and print out what I was doing and that kind of turned me off of education for about 10 years. Because I said, oh, good. I don't, there's no incentive to be clever. I'm just going to freewheel it for the next few years, which I did.
Fuck off until I get to college. I'm in year 2 of college.
Yeah, I revved up. Oh, Reunite Pangea. Now I can see the picture on that. Yeah, that'll go the same thing. Somebody got the T-shirt of that. Let me see what the other one is. Oh, Reunite Gondwanaland. Somebody's already done it. 1995 was $24.99. Obviously, the market for Gondwana groupies has dropped considerably.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I would hope.
There's still the Laurasian niche to use. Well, you could do the same thing. Reunite Rodinia and all of that.
The Australian land bridge.
I bumped into a creationist who, with a straight face, a Lemuria on us.
Make Lemuria great again.
Yeah, and so he was insisting that there was all sorts of evidence for Lemuria and Mu too. And I this was like a blast from the past, because my God, that's all crap from the 1930s and 40s and 50s and that Churchwood and his supercontinents that. But the great land bridge craze of the 1870s that created Lemuria and that Helena Blavatsky, the weird founder of Theosophy, set in motion. And then there were a whole bunch of pseudoscience people that when if you're familiar with the guy that came up with the kind of modern resurgence of Atlantis stuff, he was in Congress. God, I've forgotten his name. Don Levy.
Atlantis is not a part of China. T-shirts.
Yeah, there we go. I still love. To me, I'm a Terra groupie, a Santorini guy. I'm perfectly convinced that the Atlantis myth, to what extent there was an actual reality to it, was a reflection of the Minoan Empire and its collapse at the time of the big eruption, and or as a consequence of it. And it fits just beautifully, but in all of his cuteness, kept on grafting on a bunch of crap. And then you have a bunch of credulous gits 100 years later that feed off of that stuff and build up all these little imaginary things and draw little maps of things where there's no thing. But we got the whole bloody seafloor done. We know the geology of this stuff. There just ain't no continents there. Anyway, off a soapbox.
I do hope nobody tells Donovan about this. Okay, none of you kids know what the hell I'm talking about with that, do you?
No, tell me tell this kid what the hell you're talking about.
Oh, RJ. I'm surprised you don't know that. He was some hippie singer.
Yeah.
He was a hippie singer who wrote that song.
Oh, yeah, but I didn't know he had some connection to Atlantis or that.
Oh, he did a song at Atlantis, and it was all with the. That's where all the cultures came from. Yeah. So we just got to keep this quiet.
Or is it Atlanta Morissette? Atlantis Morissette or somebody?
Atlantis Morissette.
Oh, I see what you did there. I see what you did.
The way they just rolled off your tongue like that.
I'm trying to be hip, and it's looking pretty pathetic.
Yeah, that's a hep reference.
RJ gets a smartphone and he thinks he's all that.
The kids are really hip to the new Alanis Morissette scene.
It sank.
Gotta say, RJ, you had a good. That was a good idea with you reacting to new technology. I bet we could get makers of new technology to just send you stuff to react to. You'd never have to buy another
go
thing.
For that. Yeah, actually, I think there's some of that stuff that says that you can use the RJ test. If an interface is not intuitive enough that I can't figure it out without looking at the damn manual, then there's something wrong with it.
I agree.
RJ, this is how you've been having. I know you've been having a little bit of funding issue. This is how you do it. You get people to pay for a show in which you react to technology.
Yeah, I've also thought the other idea is pay Jimmy to buy a product. If you really like a product, it's doomed. Because I was beta over VHS and a CE disc over laser, and then laser over DVD, and so I'm just a positive harbinger of if TV series that I like will be canceled.
Wait. I think what you just gave us was a lot of evidence for you being a size whore.
The only thing that keeps me from being an early adopter is lack of money.
You like the bigger videotape. You like the larger disc. You're a size whore.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have no problem with little itty bitty things. I was happy to see DVDs come along, and
that's going on. That's going on the wiki.
The only change in technology you're okay with was from DVDs being the same size when they went to Blu-ray.
Yeah, there we go. Because you got to have downward compatibility there, Buckaroo.
Yeah, because you love the density issue. You're still a size whore.
Well, although I will say this, that I waited on the high definition thing because there was, of course, that HD DVD that Toshiba or whoever it was doing, and then there was the Blu-ray that that Sony was backing, and my nephew insisted that Sony would lose because they weren't licensing for pornography. It turns out they forgot the power of the Mickey Mouse because Disney backing the Blu-ray. I literally heard on a news work when I was still working the thing where they said, well, the Toshiba has decided to drop out of the HD DV program, and that means Blu-ray is the only high definition video format. And then the very next day I ran over to this little video store in the mall and picked up the Blu-ray version of Blade Runner gift set that had been out. I didn't have a Blu-ray player. I had none of that, but I knew that was the thing that was going to be a limited edition. And I knew I would be able to play that on the Blu-ray player when I finally got one, like a year later.
Yeah, I can remember I was with a friend of mine, and because I was her tech geek, if that gives you any idea of the level she was at. And we're looking at audio-visual equipment. She's buying a new TV, and she wants a new player. And she doesn't want to get just DVD because she knows there's this new Horizon coming, and she doesn't want to have to buy another one. So we're in the store, and I can't remember I had watched or had read very rarely ever read trade mags anymore, but I had just read a trade mag that talked about all of the technical benefits and the price benefits of Blu-ray, and I had decided that that's obviously going to be the direction it goes.
Yeah, you can store much more on it.
No.
On it. The DVD was a good idea in some ways, because it was trying to be upward compatible so that you would be able to play an HD DVD disc on a standard DVD player, and it would be able to read it, even though it wouldn't be in high definition. You can't do that with a Blu-ray. Here's why I wanted that special edition, because in the Blu-ray and HD DVD special box set of Blade Runner was a spinner model.
Aha.
A what?
Isn't that cool?
A spinner what?
Well, I can't pass that up because these were limited editions, and once they were gone, they were gone.
All right,
So
hold on.
but I didn't want to get
hold,
the one
hold
that I couldn't play on a player.
RJ, hold that up again. You're on the big screen. Nobody else got to see that.
Yeah, yeah. And matter of fact, I'll show you my collection of flying cars. They're right. So there's the spinner. Oh, and something I didn't find out about until I saw the model on the bottom. If you look really carefully in the movie, you can actually see some of that in the film, but they never called attention to it. And I only found out about that was there by looking at it. This was designed by Ron Cobb, who designed tons of stuff for Alien and a whole bunch of things. He was a great designer. Everybody knows. With its flux capacitor and Mr. Fusion in the back.
Mr. Fusion, I see that.
Oh, so
this is the old second movie that is way before all of your kids' times.
The hell is that?
Supercar.
I have no idea what that is. I'm lost.
This puppet. You can see Mike Mercury inside, the little puppet guy.
That was one of the first shows that ever.
This was about 1960. There, you can see his little thing in there, and these little wings retract.
That was on Sunday mornings here on independent TV. But
yeah, 1961. It was only on 2 seasons. It was black and white, so I only found out later that the thing was red. And I used this as the model for the Kestrel in my Phileas Fogg novel. So this is an in-joke. Goff, who designed the Nautilus for Disney, and then the Proteus, Fantastic Voyage, and that became the model for that Aouda has. And him doing a steampunk Jules Verne version of this thing for rocket ship. And the only variations I made on it, I realized that the ship never figured out how it lifts off the ground. There's no
minor design flaw.
I got rocket engines. They had a big deal about how the rockets would go spurt, 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 and all these things would be sticking out the back.
What kind of imagination?
But not how it lifts.
Wait. What kind of imagination, as a kid, did you not use the screw holes as rockets?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, this
even on all of my Hot Wheels flew.
As a matter of fact, I think maybe it does have little tiny rocket nozzles on the bottom. But anyway, I envisaged in my version for Paralogs that I would have little Harrier-style jump jet thingies. God, everything is counterintuitive in front of a camera because I move it one direction, it goes the opposite direction. I apologize for dumb.
It makes planes fly upside down around a globe.
I figured that there would be Harrier jump jet nozzles that would be able to push down, and then those could go backwards for a vertical thrust or horizontal thrust as they lifted off. So anybody that
that's all we needed.
And well, Supercar can go underwater. It's a submarine, and it's got rockets, so it can fly up into space as well. And so I basically made use of all of the features that the original Gizmo had. And
does it make toast?
Oh, probably not. In where the show is just silly as all get out.
Another Haywood Banks reference.
To do a new version of it, it would be dumb. But the car has a small groupie set to the point where they actually did a die-cast model of it for us idiots that have to have a model of Supercar.
I see.
And one more question: does it automatically tilt its nose down as it goes around the curvature of the Earth?
Probably so. The gist was that it was rocket powered, and so it could fly like 4,000 miles an hour. They never really worked out fuel capacity. I upgraded it for my Phileas Fogg story. Thomasina Maker's version is atomic powered, so there's a little tiny nuclear reactor in there. And of course, it's the idea of having a system like that that's small. It's actually a breeder reactor, as I explain in the new book. where Aouda wants to build one of her own. She really likes being able to fly supersonic. She'd never done that before. So she's going to try to figure out how you can make a thing that says, it must be the coolant system you've got in there. How do you keep it so cool? It must be something other than water, because that would be much too large. And so basically makers come up with a little sodium core reactor that she uses as her power plant.
Okay, and so with the supercar thing, it's the lack of VTOL capabilities that made the whole thing not credible for you. That's what you're saying.
Nothing else about the thing. But as a kid, that bothered me because, of course, all they had was just wires pulling the ship up the underside and go. There's no engines under there to lift. How the hell is it lifting off of the ground?
Unless I'm mistaken, didn't it have some kind of a sparkler shooting out of its ass?
That was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. In they had just basic fireworks rocket things.
Yeah.
The model itself,
but that was okay.
6 feet long.
You could watch
because they had pretty good sized puppets. You've seen the hilarious parody, Team America.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say. Is that vehicle is absolutely based off of the one that you've just shown.
Yeah, that was they were riffing off. See, they did a whole bunch of shows. The Jerry Anderson bunch. They started out with Supercar, and they did that for a couple seasons, black and white, and then they came up with Thunderbirds and
really
Stingray.
Weird Thunderbirds. That's what.
And
that's the one.
The Thunderbirds got made into a movie badly, but they all had these just the people be walking around like this and all that, and there was a kitschy weirdness to it. Then in the late '60s, away from puppets and do live action, and they did a couple movies, and they also did the UFO series that was done, and then Space 1999 was their big success, and most of you may remember that.
Speaking of puppets,
there we go, Supercar.
How many of you have seen Being John Malkovich?
Oh yeah.
The puppeteering in that movie is extraordinary. It's really amazing. The movie is all right.
You just reminded me that I want to see that movie.
I don't know what your proclivities are, but the first time I saw it in a little art theater here in town, and I was intoxicated, but I wasn't full. If that gives you any idea. And it was hysterical. And then I rented the movie with the same guy I had seen it with in the theater because we wanted to see it again. So, and I was working at a video store at the time. So I rented it and I brought it home, and it was horrible. It has 6 really, 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 really funny jokes in it. Period. It's a great premise, and there are 6 absolutely rock solid hysterical jokes.
It's got some funny bits, and it goes on way too long. That's fair to say.
The opening scene with him doing the puppeteering on the corner, and the dad punching him in the face, and then he goes back to his apartment all sullen and sulking, and his wife says, "Well, maybe you should get a real job until this puppeteering thing takes off."
I'll tell you something, though, that always impressed me, especially as years went by, is although it was a silly kid show, there was also a weird science grounding to it. They really loved science. So they would talk about cuneiform, and I heard about the ice glacier systems, and the thing about atmospheric pressure up in the higher atmosphere, and rocket thrusts. And there was a lot of science that would be snuck in addition to Mitch the chimpanzee.
Wait. You have an extraordinary vocabulary, and you just used the word snuck in a sentence. You know
he should have said sneaked.
You know that word is sneaked, right?
Oh, excuse me. Don't do errant pedantry like that, sir. I will say
it's
snuck
not
and be
at all.
of
I'm
it.
an absolute pedantic twat.
Well, there you go, sir. That is a piece of errant pedantry up with which I shall not
the English version, not the American version.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of speaking of words, I must sneak myself out of here a little bit because I need to go.
Yeah. It's,
Okay,
I gotta get ready for New Year's Eve as well.
Yeah.
I've
got some fondue waiting, and that cannot wait.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
If you have more fun to do, by all means.
Enjoy your off sneaking, and
I will go. I will sneak it away.
Happy New Year to all.
Goodbye. Good night. And Happy New Year.
Have
Wait a
more
minute,
fun.
wait,
y'all.
Wait, Hill was going to sing for us. You said you were going to sing for us before the show.
You know what? If I finish fondue before the show is over, I'll come back and sing Old Lang Syne.
We're wrapping it up. So, all right, everybody, it was good.
Or you can do a quick short Lang Syne if you don't want to do Old Lang
I'll just do
Syne.
the first. Let's just all do the first. Do you want me to do? Am I doing it by myself, or is everyone joining in?
No, it's you.
Okay, just 1 second.
Here's Hill. Here's the presentation of Hill. It's going to be cool. You'll see.
Wait for it.
I do have a cold, so my voice isn't at its best, but I'll see what I can do. Am I doing the original or the English translation?
Oh,
Whichever
you
you're
can
more
do either
comfortable
one,
with.
Buckaroo.
I'll do the English.
Okay.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and old lang syne? And surely you'll buy your pint cup, and surely I'll buy mine, and we'll take a cup o' kindness yet for Old Lang Syne.
I'm wiping a tear from my eye, or spitful.
Yay!
Sometimes I can't tell the difference.
Yay, Hill.
That was beautiful.
Thank you, Hill. That was great. Certainly, that's
Seriously, that was beautiful.
absolutely.
Thank you.
I was really counting on you jacking that up.
What?
Not at all. I've heard Hill sing.
What do you say?
I said I was really
Tino
counting
asked
on you jacking that up.
1914 again.
Fucking hell, RJ. What was it, Artemis?
Nothing.
No, I demand compliment.
Go ahead, Artemis.
Okay, that's what I started with. That was absolutely beautiful. I was counting on you jacking that up.
Oh, thanks.
Well,
I will know better next time to have more confidence.
Damn right you will.
indeed.
A more touching singing voice than I have, Hillel.
Anyway, like I said, fondue. So good night and Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New
Fondue
Year, Hill.
to you.
Thanks for joining us. And
My pleasure.
does anyone else feel the need to burst into song? I'm just wondering.
Song? No, I don't think anybody's going to call
RJ,
it.
Not
no,
me either.
RJ probably knows Build Me Up Buttercup, so yeah, okay, bye.
No, I could do songs from Oliver and a few others, but
Thanks.
not that one.
So just to let us down part then?
That was
Yeah. I could do Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
That sounds atrocious.
oh,
Yes,
righty.
yeah, well, if you say it loud enough, you will sound precocious.
All right. So
Um did lie. Did lie.
I didn't lie. You lie. A little lie.
Good that we're
And just in case you were wondering, backwards, it really isn't Doshus ali expiastic fragicalirupus. It should be Sesulalopex quetzalagarphilacropus. But that's
Melee,
just too
Kiki
picky.
Bobo, and all of the fish.
you're frightening me, RJ. All right. Okay.
I
so
actually found the Joe Isuzu advertisement. I'm going to post it in our chat.
Uh-huh.
Because if you don't remember the Joe Isuzu commercial where he says, "I saved so much money buying this Isuzu pickup truck that I could afford to buy this island and all of the fish." Halo Melee, Kiki Bobo.
I remember I can't remember the actor that plays him. He's still knocking around.
You guys, it's stand-up comedian from the 80s.
That would probably be a copyright strike for me to throw up on the screen, wouldn't it?
No, I don't necessarily. Well, it's an '80s commercial. It's the vehicle doesn't exist or anything else associated with it, but you don't necessarily.
I think Isuzu still does in Japan. I don't think they've gone out of business. They don't market here though anymore.
Oh no, it's not that they're out of business. It's that they no longer make the vehicle. It was the Isuzu Pup.
Fino asked, no Major General, RJ? Oh, boy, that Gilbert and Sullivan, that one trips my tongue up. So I can't do that patter song fast enough.
That would be fun to listen to, though.
All right. RJ, you mentioned you have moved on to Blu-ray these days. Is that accurate?
Oh, I did that right off the bat. As I said,
nice.
The moment I knew that, because I wanted to see certain films in Blu-ray. And the one that I picked when I actually got a player finally, and this has been quite a few years ago, up 2001 and Patton, because I had a sneaking. Well, I later bought Patton, but I finally stuck my 2001 on living room and on my 40-inch high definition television set, and I go forward to a point where Bowman is opening up the doorway to go into disconnect Hal's brain.
Okay.
I suddenly freeze frame. Because I can now see all the instructions about how to be wary of the magnetic locks and all of that that's in the fine print of the sign next to the door.
All right, see, I went to Blu-ray sound quality, and you went for the freeze frame where you could be anal enough to read the shit next to a door in your favorite movie.
Because I knew the movie inside out. I've seen it in the theaters a bunch of times, and I was using that as a measurement of how to check the resolution.
Yeah,
and when I realized that I could read it,
that's why I made it. I literally bought it for the sound quality, and you literally bought it for the pedantry of being able to see these things.
I love the sound too. Blu-ray usually is in digital theater system as the default rather than Dolby.
Yeah.
And the thing I discovered amazement on that is that you have to jack the volume down when you switch to DTS, because there's so much of stuff there that you have to actually lower the volume. Plus, I have a system of Bose speakers that I kind of assembled my system on my own. I had a Bose system 3-channel.
Me too. I did the same thing. Absolutely.
Okay, RJ, I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to. This is probably the first time I've done this. I'm gonna have to thank you for taking off on that rather long tangent. It's appreciated, because you see, my original question was a lead-in for a joke, and then you gave me too much of an answer, really, and I appreciate that, because it gave me time to think of exactly what a dumbass joke it was. Here's what it was.
Yeah, you get me started, because I take questions seriously.
No, I thank you for doing so in this case, because the dumbass joke was centered around the following. We mentioned earlier on that I'll just go with it. It was much funnier when it was in my head. Verbalizing it became unfunny while it was still in my head. But,
just do it.
Since we often.
Yeah, I gotta hear it now.
Give us a chance to find it not funny.
I've got a drawer here full of both regular DVDs and the Blu-rays next to each other, and the Blu-rays have not sunk to the bottom, so the flat earthers' whole buoyancy and density argument is out the freaking window. See, that was when it was still inside my head.
That's an oblique one. And it's always good when your jokes need footnotes.
Honestly, that's a standalone joke. That's not a location joke. That's not a you had to be there.
No, but
Fino has said a terrible thing.
Oh.
In the live chat, he said, "What about Mac the Knife? I can do Mac the Knife, and in German, and as it was in the original cast. So you're going to get some. Und der Haifisch, hat Zähne, und trägt ihn im Gesicht. Mackie Messer trägt ein Handschuh, und im Handschuh sieht man nicht." Boy, that'll put you off food for a while, won't it?
Oh, you're done?
It sounds pretty wacky, but that's exactly how the singer. In fact, he does kind of a tremolo in the one they did in that came out in stereo. For those, how many people?
I demand respect for picking up the tempo. That.
How many people? Kovacs.
All right.
Me.
Yeah, Ernie Kovacs. If you don't know Ernie Kovacs, find out about him. I think there's probably some stuff on YouTube and that. He is kind of the precursor of an awful lot of weird, wacky humor. And the first time I ever heard that bit was he would have in his show, cutting away from like a segment long before, and now for something completely different with Monty Python, he would suddenly cut and there would be an oscilloscope on the screen. And this segment of the new Lotte Lenya version of Mac the Knife in German, where it was, "Und der Haifisch," and you'd see the little oscilloscope going up and down for about 10 seconds, and you're going, what the shit? So he was a terribly erudite man. He once did a whole routine that was based on a Bartok concerto for orchestra. I mean, it was remarkably a weird combination of strange sight gag humor of the kind that they later did with Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, but he was doing it back in the 50s. And so he was a tremendous influence on comedians.
Yeah, he was the birth of the visual joke on TV.
Yeah,
because no one had done a visual joke on a broadcast before. It all been radio drama, other than movies. And he had this brand new medium where he could, in 20 minutes, he could actually show you what you'd been listening to, and it was
and
he was
Percy Dove Tonsils. Percy Dove Tonsils. Oh my God, we would watch Ernie Kovacs all the time. Percy Dove Tonsils was this weird, presumably gay, effete
camp
artist on with eyeballs attached to them, so that you had fake eyeballs, and it was Percy Dove Tonsils, and oh God, it was just an absolute riot.
It was kind of a soft mockery of Jesus, the piano player.
Liberace. Liberace a bit, yeah.
Yeah, because Liberace by that point was already in Vegas.
Yeah. And the name, Percy Dove Tonsils, I mean, it's just
well, Bill Cosby did a jazz album, and I can't remember either the album is named or his nom de plume is, or nom de guerre is something Silverthroat. And I can't remember what it is. It's awful. It's not funny or good jazz.
I see.
But my dad had it.
And of course, we now have to put a giant asterisk next to Bill Cosby on everything.
Yeah, I grew up listening to his albums. Dude, it's just I actually when he started making his comments about what it meant to be what the culture of poor black people was, and how they I was with him with how everybody wears their pants, because damn, that's just seriously. But he became more and more bigoted by not by color, but by economic means, so I started to lose my faith in the late 90s, and then I started hearing rumors among club comedians that it was what he was doing was way more than just being an asshole, and had been doing it for a long time. And then it just blew up, and I was like, oh shit, that was true. I idolized the man for years. I can recite almost verbatim Chicken Heart. I grew up listening to his albums, and
Jackson Wheat was just asking me about a thing. He was watching a documentary on Victor Borge, and he didn't know anything about Victor Borge. And so he asked me, did I know about him? What did you think of Victor Borge? And I said, I adore Victor Borge.
Yeah.
And
create anything with their voice faster than Victor.
Well, and what was hilarious, some of the bits, my favorite Victor Borge bit, he never did later on the television shows because it was dated and nobody would get the joke. But on the albums, the stuff that he recorded in the 1950s. One of the ones he did in the early 50s was he would have audience requests for songs to play, and somebody would ask for Claire de Lune, and he says, "Oh, that's Clear the Saloon." But somebody asked about the Third Man theme. Anything about the Third Man theme, you'd have to see, or if you don't know it, you need to see the Third Man movie that Carol Reed, the father of Oliver Reed, directed in 1949. He's got a famous Orson Welles film and all that. It's a film noir, very superb film. And the music was done by this European zither player. It's just one guy, Karas, on a zither. And the theme is bum ba bum ba ba da 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 yeah da 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 da, and it was just ridiculously popular everywhere. Everybody was doing the damn third band theme. It was just ubiquitous around 1950-51. And so when he was asked to play, there were groans in the audience, and he sits down at the piano and starts going bum ba bum ba 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 bum ba bum ba 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 bum ba bum ba 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 bum ba bum ba 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 bum ba bum ba 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 ba. He plays the opening thing. He never gets to the bridge, and he just keeps going minute after minute after minute until finally the audience goes and gets the joke. It's one of the most delayed reactions to realize that he was never getting to the rest of the theme.
That's awesome.
And that absolutely slays me. Another one is yipes. Does commercials. I'm getting old.
Good that we're sticking to science here. Good that we're sticking to science.
Stan Freberg.
I see how all this applies. have you guys given any thought whatsoever to what exactly is going to happen to me over here in New Jersey when Andy, who was unavailable this evening, watches this and finds out what I've done to his show?
To his poor Science Sunday show.
he's going.
Downard's going on about Victor Borga.
He's going to kill me.
Surely this is more about.
No, he needs to kill me.
More about being New Year's Eve than it is about science.
Yes, this is basically wishing everyone a happy New Year.
We did. It was safety damn science. In fact, I was getting to be sciencey when I was going in on about the Blu-ray thing, about the technology and stuff. I feel
like all of our tangents had something to do with science or math or something.
Well, look, we're using IP protocol going across the internet. That's sciencey enough. I think we all get a pass.
Yeah, there we go.
It's New Year's Eve.
I studied telecommunications when digital transmissions of video were still theory.
Yeah.
And
I've said this many times. And certainly decide.
I can remember the one of my more tech classes. Two of my more tech classes were taught by the head and lead engineer on the project where Indiana University and the city of Bloomington both got digital. Oh Christ! This is how long it's been since I had this education. Switches, digital switches. So they went from huge mechanical switches, which occupied floors and floors of short towers, to a box in the middle of an air-conditioned room that handled 4 times what they had started with. And they ran fiber optic cable for the first. This was 1990, in fact, that 89. They started running fiber optic cables so that the switch for the city of Bloomington was fully and redundantly operated on the switch just for the IU campus. And then they started running it's not just coax. What's the 10 rated or 12 rated? Anyway, they started filling it with that while I was there. But while I was there, we were running on twisted pairs. And mostly the internet didn't exist. We had a thing to our own switch and our own supercomputer, and we had our own shit going on because it was a well-funded public university, and now it isn't.
Jeff at BBS.
Yeah. But, satellite radio, that was theory when I was in college. We knew.
I could conceptualize it. But it took an enormous amount of technology to make it work.
Yeah, the antenna was what held it up. The broadcast was easy. It was the antenna.
That was cool. We were getting an echo from RJ through.
I am getting an echo.
Yeah, we were.
I don't have anything.
It was actually kind of cool. Then it stopped. Oh well. Anyway.
Gremlins.
Yeah, fellas, I don't mean to cut anything short. And RJ, if you have any interest in joining the conversation I'm having with a drunken idiot from Kentucky on my own, so you can have someone to talk to, hit me up in the DMs of Twitter at a brand sample. And gentlemen,
Okay.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Everyone
Year.
that's still paying attention to anything that I had to say, Happy New Year. And I will see you gentlemen next week because I seriously want to talk about what's in my wheelhouse, and that applies to next week.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you saying something,
Indeed.
Artemis? Happy New Year, young fellas. All right. Perhaps we ought to draw it for a close. I have some preparation to do for tonight's festivities.
Have a Happy New Year, guys.
And to you as well. And to RJ, and thank you everybody for joining us. Is there anything, RJ, you want to add anything before we close?
Oh, no, it just is other than that I've had a wonderful time, and I hope I don't bore anybody.
Not at all. Not at all. We certainly love having you over here. All right. On that note, to all of our viewers, we're just nuts about you. We couldn't do any of this without you guys joining. For those who've already had a New Year, our European friends and such, hope your New Year kicks ass. And for everybody else for whom New Year's Eve has not passed yet, be safe. Be safe. We want to see you. We want to see you on our next show. So happy
all the
New
way
Year.
through to 2018.
Absolutely. Happy New Year, all. See you next time. Thank you very much.